FX welcomes you to the world's fastest speedway. Bud pole qualifying for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series at Talladega Superspeedway. Who will sit on the pole at the world's longest, steepest bank? Superspeedway? Could it be this man, Ryan Newman, going from victory lane to first out for pole qualifying just a few short days later? Hi, everybody, and welcome to Talladega. Mike Joy with Larry McReynolds and Darrell Waltrip. Well, we're at the fastest place on earth where the strangest things have happened. What's going to happen today?
Well, it's somewhat of a emotional effort that you put forth here. A lot of guys are going to go out and they're going to come in. They're going to be real disappointed because they didn't run as well as they did in practice. When you go through the room of doom, things have a tendency to change. You're kind of on your own out there practicing, but when you go through that room and they get the thing just like NASCAR wants it, sometimes it doesn't perform like you thought it was going to, and you can be very disappointed.
Larry, is this a lot like Daytona where when you roll it off the truck, pretty much you've got what you've got?
I mean, you really do. I mean, NASCAR mandates so many of the rules. They tell you what rear springs you have to run, what rear shocks. I mean, all the templates. Yeah, I mean, once you get here with 2 hours of practice, you maybe can tune on that engine just a little bit. You maybe can work with those front springs just a little bit, but you're not going to pick up that half or second that some of those guys are hunting. But let me tell you something that's not strange. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was fastest in practice, and we're at Talladega, so that's one thing that's not strange.
Yeah, the inspection process here, that's like a big sigh of relief. I listen to the guys on the scanner, and everybody says, how'd it go? And they're talking about how'd it go getting through the room of doom, because sometime if you can get through there with everything you brought down here and you can get it on the racetrack, you may have a really good chance.
Been a lot of filing, a lot of grinding in that garage, and quite a bit of throwing up of hands. Ryan Newman, fresh off his victory in Texas, the first of the year for Dodge. Had a lot of folks breathing easier up in Auburn Hills this week.
Well, it was quite a performance. I mean, he was definitely the car to beat, and drove off and left everybody once he got in front there at the end of the show. So he was definitely the man on that day.
And what's neat, Mike, 7 races now. All the manufacturers at least have won 1 race. So that we keep talking about that parity. It keeps showing up every week.
And in the post-race from Texas, we heard words we hadn't hoped to hear this year: arrow tight or arrow push. Jeff Gordon could catch Dale Jr. and catch Ryan Newman. Once he got there, wasn't able to do anything with him.
Yeah, that's not surprising. That racetrack is sort of indicative of that. It's you come off the turns, there's a lot of banking, a lot of speed off the corner there, and that'll cause the car to pick up a little bit of push, arrow or otherwise, even mechanical. So I don't know. I think we're in pretty good shape on arrow push.
All right, 2 laps of qualifying here at Talladega, as at all the Winston Cup races, and like at Daytona, that first lap is a throwaway.
Yeah, I mean, you're just trying to build your momentum up because, again, even though it's over 2.5 miles around this place, they are running that carburetor restrictor plate. In other words, unrestricted, these engines make about 800 horsepower. When you put that carburetor restrictor plate under it, it almost reduces the horsepower in half, about 420 horsepower.
The graphic showed why this fellow's the Rocket Man. He has won the pole in 1 out of every 5 of his Winston Cup starts.
He was 20th quickest in practice, not exactly where they wanted to be.
In the last 5 races, 2 poles, a second, and 2 thirds. Those not being restrictor plate races. Nice pickup on his second lap, about 0.7 of a second.
Of course, this is a brand new race car. Remember that devastating crash in the Daytona 500 early in the race, so this is a brand new race car they had to break out for Ryan.
If you run that high line, Mike, like everybody will, to get the fluids hot and get up your momentum, about 0.7. I'll listen to the practice speed. That's about what you can expect.
Last week, a big one for Ryan Newman. Serving notice that he's not just a great qualifier, that he can seal the deal. And Ryan Newman moves up into NASCAR's top 10 in the Winston Cup point standings, where he is 8th coming to Talladega. Welcome back to Talladega, where Kevin Harvick, who had a strong run at Daytona, finishing 4th, his best finish of 2003 thus far, is out for Bud pole qualifying, second driver on the track, and he also moved into the top 10 last week. Now the warm-up laps here take just about a minute as the cars build speed, because you exit the pits here, unlike any other track we have, just before the start-finish line. So about 60 seconds to come around and take the green then in the 52s and hopefully the 51s on the laps that follow.
Yeah, and what you try to watch for here as far as the cars are concerned is the attitude of the car. You'd like to see that red part of the valence there around the front of the car right against the racetrack.
I tell you, Darrell, one thing we're seeing more and more of, these guys, they hug the bottom of the racetrack all the way around, the shortest distance around this 2.66 mile track.
But when you're driving a race car that is capable of running 220 miles an hour and it's only running 185, it feels like you're just driving down the interstate.
The longest line at Talladega is not at the ticket booth, it's not at the tunnel, and it's not at the French fry stand. It's in front of Dick Berggren.
Yeah, Mike, and this line has been going on since about 5:30 in the morning when the garage first opened. It is the NASCAR inspection line. They are going through all of these cars again for the second time today, just to make sure that nobody has an unfair advantage. And with all this work, with all this inspection, with all the look-see the NASCAR inspectors have done, the only thing in the big red truck they've confiscated so far is a busted drive shaft off Johnny Benson's car. To Jeannie Zelasco.
With repeat pole winner Jeremy Mayfield, what does it take to win a pole here at Talladega?
Man, we've done that one time here before in the past, but it's just tough. I mean, this place is a tough place to qualify at. It's not hard for the drivers, but it's just, you know, hard to get a lot of speed out of your car for qualifying. And then all of a sudden tomorrow's practice and the race on Sunday be totally different, you know. So you just got to have a good, fast car, and hopefully that's what our Dodge will be today.
Top 10 off the truck, though, so you got to be optimistic.
Yeah, that's the good thing. You got to have that, you know, to be good here, too. You can't show up here and you know, try to gain all your speed while you're here doing race week. You got to get it before you get here, and that's what they've done. These guys done a good job working on our Dodge here.
Thanks.
Kevin Harvick also did a good job, 51.438. He is quicker than Ryan Newman by more than 0.2 of a second.
Probably going to, it wouldn't surprise me, Larry, to see some of these guys get into the 50s, the 5.0s. Maybe high 5.0s, maybe 90, but somebody will do that, I believe.
I would not be surprised, Darrell, because what you remember, everybody, especially those Richard Childress cars and those DEI cars, Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, they always save a little bit, a little lighter motor oil, a little more timing, a little more tape on the nose, maybe even have the spoiler bumped up a little bit. Remember, you have to run a 55-degree spoiler here minimum, because the lower you can pull that spoiler back, the faster it'll run down the straightaway.
Yeah, we were really surprised, you know, when Jeff Green jumped up to the pole at Daytona. He hadn't shown that in practice, so I wouldn't count any of those DEI or Childress cars out for a pretty good shot at the pole.
I thought you were going to the Hawaii 5.0s there for a second. This kid, the way he's been running, can go anywhere he wants. Kurt Busch took a 30th place start, turned it into a 9th place finish at Texas, and that's about the worst race he's had this year.
But, you know, I can't help but believe that they wasn't thinking, somebody, he wasn't necessarily, but somebody on that team was thinking about the big picture, the championship.
Now, he didn't finish at Las Vegas and Atlanta, but mechanical problems both times, engine trouble. But in the races he's been running at the end, 1 win, 3 seconds, and a 9th.
The car looks high in the nose to me, Larry. It's coming down the straightaway with it up pretty good, and it's not down in the racetrack like I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I mean, NASCAR, they don't mandate what front springs you can run, you know, but it's all about getting the attitude of the car right. They say you cannot be softer than a 345 in the rear, which means that softer would let the car travel more, but what you have to do is come up with a front spring, front shock package that gets that car to go through the air, but hopefully get that nose down, but not so far down that it keeps the rear hiked up.
Is that monitor right?
No, 52.09 is his time, but even so, that's got to be a disappointment, because that's 0.6 of a second off Kevin Harvick's present pole speed. Welcome back to Talladega. Bud Pole qualifying. Ricky Craven on track, hoping to complete his first qualifying run in the last 2 weeks. Craven was the victim of simple bad luck last week in Texas. The car before him had likely dumped fluid down on the racetrack. There's Jeff Green, a lot of smoke from Green's car, and there's that snail's trail of fluid. Craven goes right off in it. The car gets loose. He hangs on to it, but pulled it into the garage, and NASCAR said, sorry, that's it. You're done.
I talked to Ricky, and he said, you know, NASCAR told him the track was clean, but he said when I drove it in turn 1, he said the thing just hit that oil or water or whatever it was and took off.
Ricky was 22nd quickest in practice. Remember, Cal Wells, they've went to their own engine program this year, going to the Pontiacs, but at the restrictor plate racetracks, Daytona and Talladega, they actually lease motors from Richard Childress Racing.
New bright paint job for Craven this week.
You can always see TIDE.
We're going to see a lot of it next weekend, aren't we?
Boy, I hope so. Ricky and I were just talking this morning. We want a clean sweep Martinsville next week.
Can you win that truck race?
Yes, sir. I think so. Went up there and practiced a little bit this week. Drove Kyle Petty's car. Had a really good time working with those guys and got some laps on the track. And Andy Petrie and I were up there. And so, yeah, I can win that race. Michael's got me a nice truck. It's Jack Sprague's truck, and he's won in. Got DEI power. Should be good.
Well, you'll see it on speed if you can't come up to Martinsville. Hope you join us up there next weekend.
We're going to be wired up. We'll be calling the race from the truck.
Oh, boy. Dick Berggren.
With Kevin Harvick, who's the fastest man on campus so far. But I know you, and you're greedy. You're going to look for more speed. What else can you do to this race car between now and Sunday?
Well, I don't think we really need to do much to it. Same way it was in Daytona. It didn't pick up as much as we expected it to. I mean, it still run a really good speed, but it just seems to be a little bit better when you put cars around it and really get it going. But GM Goodwin guys did a good job, and we're pretty happy with that.
So far, so good. To Jeannie.
Well, maybe the only thing more scary than just facing Jeff Gordon and being out on the track with you would be when you're a little relaxed. You come into this qualifying and you're saying qualifying just isn't that important.
Well, it's important, but there's not much I can do, so I'm pretty relaxed. You know, when we're at Texas or Darlington or Bristol, you know, there's so much on the line, and you've got to hit all your marks and do everything just right. We're here, you know, it's all these guys. They're the ones that prepared, and they're the ones that really have done the job. And I'm so proud of these guys. Since Daytona, a lot of work's been done in the wind tunnel, in the engine department, in our 24 and 48 shop, and the chassis shop, and these guys have made huge improvements. We didn't qualify very well in Daytona. We're running great today, and I guess maybe that's why I'm relaxed. I'm really excited.
You know, it is important. Keep an eye on Jeremy Mayfield. 2 poles for Jeremy, and you've got 2 wins at those races.
Yeah, you know, I tell you, this is a crazy place. You just never know what you're going to get here. You don't know who's going to win the race, and you certainly don't know who's going to win the pole. Maybe a better idea who's going to win the pole. You know, Junior was fast, and the Hendrick cars seem to be quick today, too. So we'll see.
Great, thanks.
Well, I say the Hendrick cars are fast because 2nd, 3rd, and 4th were Hendrick cars behind Dale Earnhardt Jr. as far as in practice.
Ward Burton coming around at a 53.04. And we'll look to pick up on that. He practiced a second, 1.2 seconds quicker than that. Hermie Sadler's on the 5-minute clock. He was scheduled to go out before Burton. Now, Darrell, about this truck race next Saturday, Cadillac Rick from Speed Channel and I, we've talked this over. I know you want to call the race from the truck. We're not riding with you.
No ride-along program. Got plenty of room in the back.
No ride-along program.
Y'all can get in the back, call the race in the back.
Dorsey and Barry can ride in the back.
Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to get up. You know, Harvey's going to run,
yep.
And he and I got a little something. I got a score to settle with him. And hopefully he won't lose the keys to his truck this year. And we can go out there and have a good time on Saturday. The rookie, you know.
Right. All right, this will look a lot better for Ward Burton, we think. 51.99. It does pick him up quite a bit. Leaves him half a second off the pole speed, and that is about a tenth quicker than he practiced. So Kevin Harvick is quickest so far over Ryan Newman and Ricky Craven. The world's fastest speedway also has the world's longest pit road. That's Hermie Sadler jogging and the crew pushing hard because they're on the 5-minute clock.
And that's about how fast you feel like you're going out there on the racetrack. So like everybody here could keep up with you. Because it just doesn't feel that fast until you get all the other guys out there with you. Then the action picks up.
You know, guys, I've been watching our miles per hour down here. Remember, you're wide open all the way around this racetrack. These engines turn about 7,000 RPMs with that restrictor plate. If you look right there, though, on our Fox tracker, he is on a pole run. He was 10th quickest in practice. But if you notice, the miles per hour barely changes. Here it is, 187 miles an hour, just barely climbing down that backstretch.
Well, that's what they always ask you. The crew chief will say, are you losing any RPM in the corner? Because if you are, you got to work on that. You want that thing to be as free as a breeze going around here, even through the turns.
I'd say he's definitely on a pole run, because our little Fox tracker right down here, she is not moving off that #1 spot.
He and Bill both were pretty good in practice. They were both in the top 10, 9th and 10th, so they got a little something going for them this weekend.
Once again, Jeremy's running right around the bottom of the racetrack, the shortest distance.
Yeah.
51.34. He's on the pole.
By nearly 1/10 of a second.
And that's about 3/10 of a second quicker than he ran in practice.
Well, maybe that'll. I saw Ray Everham down this morning pushing the cars through tech, and he needs something to help him. He needs something to put a smile on his face.
They had that car down on the ground, the front end valence, like you were talking about.
Dodges, you know, notoriously at Daytona and Talladega, the Dodges seem to be able to do that better than some of the others.
Well, let's hear from one of the Dodge boys. Here's Jeannie.
Kenny Schrader, you have a win here, you have a pole here, but practice, let's just say it didn't go as planned this morning.
It went real bad. Yeah. Carrot Top wasn't happy. We got to get the little car running better, and we made some changes that hopefully will pick it up, but we'll find out here quick enough.
Can a Dodge get it done at a super speedway?
I just worried about getting that starting space now, and then well, there'll be enough wind moving around Sunday. It'll be okay.
Thanks.
You know, sorry. You notice he said starting space. That's what you're looking for. Here's a little space. I have just a little room between me and the rest of you guys.
You know, we talked about wind moving around. You know, we always talk about each week track temperature. The track temperature is 85 degrees. The way the weather is, that's not going to make a difference here at Talladega. But what could make a difference, Darrell, I've been watching the American flag down in turn 4. That wind is really picking up. And at these speeds with a restrictor plate, the wind can definitely play with your race car. I mean, it can hurt the speed, or in some cases, it can help the speed.
What does it look like, a headwind or a tailwind? I can't.
It almost looks like it's a little bit of a crosswind towards turn 2.
Yeah.
From turn 4.
Probably that would hurt you the least, because you're not looking at the wind at any point. It's kind of blowing across the car as it goes into turn 3, and it's probably not even affected off of 4 because of the grandstand.
Greg Biffle, the defending Busch Series champ, out for his run. Jeff Green is on the 5-minute clock.
Boy, Biffle had a good run last week, and I believe he and his little crew chief buddy are starting to put it together.
Got that first top 5 finished at Bristol a couple of weeks ago. Finished 5th. He's moved up to 2nd in the rookie points battle.
Practice 36th, and unless he gets a big pickup, that's about where he's going to end up.
See the Fox tracker, he's pretty much right now, he's 7th out of 7 cars that's been on the racetrack.
You know, Larry, but they kind of struggled at Daytona. They tested down there. I think they took 2 or 3 different cars. Never really seemed to hit the Daytona Talladega combination.
If it had not been for how he raced in the 125-miler on Thursday before the 500, he would have missed the Daytona 500 based on just pure speed.
Yeah, he was one of a few cars in the definite go or go home category on Thursday.
Well, you see the miles per hour of 182. I mean, we've seen some 184, 185, even 186 stuff.
Yeah, that's agonizingly slow.
52.30, and that is actually more than 1/10 slower than he practiced. Dick Berggren is with the fellow who's fastest right now.
And Jeremy Mayfield climbed out of the car with a huge smile on your face. How happy does this make you?
Well, I'm happy, but I'm not sure he's going out now. It'll probably be fast too, but I'm just real proud of everybody on this UAW Dodge team and everybody at Everham Motorsports. We've really worked hard since Daytona, and everybody at the engine shop, and just done a great job, you know, and just real proud of the guys here. We've really seemed like we've come together in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and things are looking good.
Good for you. Glad to see you smiling.
Jeff Gordon coming off a tremendous finish with Dale Earnhardt Jr. last week.
No flames. Oh. See any flames on that car, Larry?
I don't see any at all. But he was pretty quick in practice, 4th quickest. He ran a 51.33, which right now, if he can just back that up, that would be pole speed.
I see. It's a co-branded car between his two major sponsors. That's why there's no flames.
That'll have flames on one side.
No flames, no biscuit.
Man.
Darryl, you've talked about this before as we watched Jeff Gordon getting up to speed here. When you run here with a restrictor plate, it's like a corkscrew. You run high on the first lap, and you just keep bringing the race car down, gaining that momentum, gaining that speed. Till the final lap, you're right around the bottom of the racetrack.
Take the shortest route once you get the thing up to speed, and that's when you get the best time.
There you see on the Fox tracker right now, this being his first lap, he would pretty much be 7th quickest of the 7 cars.
Larry, that thing sounded flat. It's like it's almost missing. Let's do it. I don't know, I don't sound good. What do you think?
It don't sound like it's that crisp. It really don't.
And the line he's running is different than anything we've seen. Now he gets down there. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I know it was a throwaway lap, but it was a little different line.
Boy, he wobbled through that corner, too. That car looks like he got it sucked down so much, it's probably hammering a lot of things against the track.
Let's watch the miles per hour here. Jeremy Mayfield on the pole right now. He was 187 at the end of the backstretch there. You see Jeff Gordon's 187. Took a little longer to maybe get there. He's going to be close because he ran 52.11 on that first lap. If he picks up 7/10, that's going to put him awfully close.
I figured out what's different about his line. Something Dale Jr. did in qualifying at Daytona. Coming out of turn 4 on that throwaway lap, get way high up on the banking and shoot down the hill and let the banking work for you.
Run down. Yeah.
Anything you can do to pick that speed up. He's only going to be 3rd quickest, though, at 51.47, so he does not back up what he ran in practice.
Motor sounded like it was detonating to me. I mean, I'm up here. I'm not out there on the racetrack where I can hear it well, but it sounded like it was a little flat.
So it's Dodge Chevy with Mayfield, Harvick, and Jeff Gordon. Welcome back to Bud Pole qualifying at Talladega. Hermie Sadler is the 9th driver to attempt qualifying. Jeremy Mayfield's Dodge is quickest.
See, he has Aaron's on the side of the car. He actually has leased this car and engine from Dale Earnhardt Incorporated.
Everybody gets to drive for Aaron's.
This kicks off Autism Awareness Month. We're wearing the autism ribbons this weekend. For you to get more information on how to support autism awareness, 1-800-3-AUTISM, or go to the Society's website.
Remember, Hermie was on the 5-minute clock, but he made it out there before the 5 minutes was up. They struggled a little bit in practice. They were only 34th quickest in practice. I talked to that group. They had a few inspection woes this morning.
Yeah, the car's not really down like a really fast car would be. It's kind of see how it's kind of up in the back, Larry. You notice the angle of the rocker panels. That's the panels along the bottom of the car. They're kind of a little high in the back.
You know, we talk about the secret to running fast at Talladega. Anything you can do to get that rear spoiler out of the air, but NASCAR makes it tough because they tell you can't be softer than a 345-pound rear spring, and then they actually hand the teams the 2 rear shocks that you're going to put on the rear that controls the compression and the rebound. Everybody qualifies and races the same type of rear shock.
It's got a decent looking lap going here, but not
Nope.
8th quickest.
8th quickest for Hermie Sadler. Dick Berggren.
Well, Jeff Gordon never won a pole here at Talladega. That doesn't really matter, though. Nobody's won from further back than you, 36th. Was the motor okay in that time trial lap?
Well, I think it was. Something obviously wasn't quite as good as it was in practice. We were much better in practice. I was expecting to get in the low 51s, if not high 50 seconds. So that was a little bit of a disappointment, but still huge improvement from Daytona. You know, I couldn't be more proud of the work that was put in by everybody at Hendrick Motorsports and the DuPont, Pepsi cars. Still fast, but we're not going to be as far forward as we thought we were going to be.
That's all right. It doesn't matter. You'll do well on Sunday anyhow. Mike?
Thanks, Dick. Jeremy Mayfield is quickest. Harvick, Gordon, Ryan Newman, Ricky Craven are the fast 5 so far. 9 cars have made their runs. A big weekend of racing continues tomorrow with the NASCAR Winston Cup practice on FX, followed by Busch Series racing with the Aaron 312 on Fox. Sunday, NASCAR this morning by Smirnoff Triple Black on Fox Sports Net. A special 1-hour pre-race leads you to the Winston Cup race with the Aaron's 499. That's on Fox. NASCAR continuing all weekend across the Fox networks.
We heard Kenny Schrader talking, really been struggling here, and they definitely are. And, you know, they had a pretty good speed weeks at Daytona. Finished 6th in the Bud Shootout, was strong in the Daytona 500, actually got caught up in a wreck. But they are struggling here as he was 43rd quickest out of 46 cars. That's something we need to make a note. 43 cars will start this show. That means 3 cars will go home. A few cars like Hermie Sadler, we saw qualify a while ago, he's going to have to almost be in that top 36 fastest speeds probably to be in this show.
Kenny Schrader has 23 career Bud poles, 2 of which came at this racetrack in back-to-back races, the July race in '98 and this race in '99.
If you notice right there, 180 miles per hour, we've seen as much as 185, 186 in that area, so that just goes to show you these guys are way off.
Let's show you what's involved with some of the inspection process, particularly when it comes to carburetors.
Yeah, this is the base plate of the carburetor, Darrell, and what they're doing, making sure that it's an 1 11/16. Plus, they're making sure that it has no taper to it, because anything like that could make these restrictor plates run faster. Now they're checking the booster size. This would be the area that Rusty Wallace and his group had a problem at Daytona. And then the next thing we're going to see here is the restrictor plate itself.
You draw a number that corresponds with the number on one of these plates. They hold it up for everybody to see. Make sure that plate is nice and flat and level, has 4 holes, and then they show the measurement of the holes.
Make sure it's not too big, not too small.
Right. If it drops through there, they toss that one away and get another one. The crew member never touches the restrictor plate.
And you know the unique thing about the restrictor plate? The restrictor plate that sits on the pole here today, or at any restrictor plate racetrack, or the one that wins the race, it's never used again. That's just their procedure.
They're working hard to make it fair and to make the inspection process as open as they can, possibly, while still trying to get it done in a reasonable amount of time. Jeff Green, the Daytona 500 pole sitter, not with this car. They wadded that one up.
Yeah, this was their backup car at Daytona. They did not expect it to be as far off, though, based on testing. And I walked by their group right before practice ended. They were 38th quickest in practice. Dave Scode, the car chief, told me, said this has been one of those character-building days. They have really worked on this race car. Remember, there's a body location rule now that says from the center of the rear end to the center of the windshield, it has to be 60 inches, plus or minus a half inch. Their body location was off. Well, obviously here you can't cut the body off, so what they had to start doing then is moving things on the suspension to move the rear end to where that number was right. Once they fixed that, then the wheelbase was off, so it just kept skyrocketing from there.
And of course, you know, at Daytona we were talking about Childress and DEI and how they had it all figured out. Then you come here, and this has always been my point about Daytona and Talladega. Everybody thinks they're alike. They're not. You can do totally different things at Daytona than that you can do at Talladega. They're just not the same animal.
Jeff Green on track to be 8th of 11. His teammate Kevin Harvick right now is 2nd.
I'd have a totally different rule package for Talladega than I would for Daytona.
There you see on the Fox tracker, he's only about 8th quickest right now out of 11 cars. Moves up to 8th, so he'll be 8th quickest.
But you will not see, and unless somebody really surprises me, you're not going to see a car run fast with that nose stuck up in the air like that.
So Jeff Green is 8th on the board and 3rd among the Chevrolet. Jeremy Mayfield remains quickest. One week ago, Elliott Sadler started front row, led a lot of the race, and ended up. That's a crunched up Peckham.
But you know, we watched on that restart. He'd been leading that race. He took off. He went into turn 3. The car took off with him. He almost lost it in turn 3. Got it back up under him. He come on around and he went down to 1. He started off at 2. I kind of believe that thing had a soft right rear tire.
Well, and I actually talked to him, and there you see, look at his miles per hour. It's up to 188 at the end of the straightaway right there. I talked to Elliott and Raymond Fox, and they said, Larry, we tested that car at Atlanta. It was good at Texas. We never touched it. He said, I believe we had a right rear tire going down. It actually led to most laps of the race as well.
Yeah, that car looked too good for that to happen, just all by itself.
7th on the first lap, and he jumps to 3rd.
And he was 5th quickest in practice. So he was one of the few Fords that was up there in the top 5 or 6 in practice.
For the 2nd week in a row.
Brand new race car, wind tunneled only. They felt pretty good about this piece.
Let's meet up with the point leader. Here's Jeannie.
And Matt Kenseth, see your teammates out there. Kurt Busch running 8th. What do you expect?
I expect not to run very good. We haven't been very good since we unloaded, but you know, everybody's been working really hard on this car. We just haven't really got the speed out of it. So I'm looking up at that dark cloud in turn 1. I'm really hoping it'll rain really hard here pretty soon. I think that'll be our best shot for a real good starting spot.
Well, shame on you, dark cloud. Maybe more pressure being the points leader. Is it so early you just take one race at a time and it doesn't matter?
Just take one race at a time. You want to do the best you can every race, and you know, Talladega here, there's nothing really a driver can do to help the qualifying effort or to hurt the qualifying effort. So qualifying here is, you know, all about the car and the engine. You know, we got under the hood too. So just so far we've been missing a little bit. I'm pretty confident it'll race decent. It raced good at Daytona, so I think we'll race all right. But just gotta get through today.
All right, go to your rain dance.
Thanks, Jeannie. Let's look at the top 5 and look at their average finish in the last 5 restrictor plate races. Michael Waltrip leads the league. Kurt Busch right up there as well.
But I'm going to tell you, the Dale Earnhardt Jr. graphic is very deceiving because that's based on the Daytona 500 where he had the electrical problem. Trust me, that would be much better because he's going for 4 wins in a row at Talladega here on Sunday.
Robbie Gordon, the 3rd of the RCR cars to qualify. That's Richard Childress Racing. Kevin Harvick right now is 2nd. Jeff Green is 9th. See how Robbie fares.
I tell you, they were struggling in practice. 40th quickest. And what I was really picked up on in this race car in the garage area is they're carrying that Special Olympics logo on the hood of the car. And what this means, it's Singular Wireless, their sponsor. For every lap that Robbie completes on Sunday, they're going to donate $100 to the Special Olympics. Each lap he leads, $1,000. Should he win this race, $100,000 to Special Olympics.
Wow.
There you see right now, he's about 12th or 13th quickest out of the 13 cars when you look at the Fox tracker.
Yeah, the cars are, his car and Jeff Green's, both those cars just don't look like they've got them, I don't know, not enough rebound in the front spring or shocks or not enough, I don't know, the cars just don't look like they're down in the racetrack.
And I think this is backing up what you're saying, Darrell, about Daytona and Talladega being different. This is the same car that he won the 125-miler with, that he finished way up in the top 10 at the 500. I mean, all of the Richard Childress cars were good at Daytona the entire speed weeks.
Good pickup here on lap 2. See if it holds.
His speed looked pretty good right there driving off into turn 3, 187 miles per hour.
Okay, that's been kind of the norm, 187.
Notice he's running right around the bottom of the racetrack. We've seen that just about out of everyone.
He's going to be right in that 51.4 or 5 range.
Remember, the start-finish line here is past the end of pit road, not in the middle of pit road, in the middle of the tri-oval like at Daytona. And Robbie Gordon presently is 5th. Jeremy Mayfield paces Bud Pole qualifying at Talladega. His Dodge over Kevin Harvick, Chevy, and Elliott Sadler's Ford. Coming Tuesday, FX rolls out a new outrageous original series. John Corbett is Lucky. And the odds just keep getting odder. Lucky, a new original series, premieres Tuesday at 10 only on FX. He wins the World Series of Poker and quits gambling.
Yeah.
And gets lured back into it. Mayhem ensues.
I like that Mary Chapin Carpenter song. I feel lucky that night.
Terry Labonte. And how many times did I mess it up last week? How many times did I have Labonte winning the inaugural Texas Winston Cup race when, as you corrected, really he won it in 99, not 97.
Yeah. But I tell you, the last 2 weeks, even though the finishes have not showed it, I mean, Terry Labonte and that group have had some good runs. Yes. Good top 5 car at Bristol, got caught up in a wreck. Good run last week at Texas. made a green flag pit stop. Caution comes out and never overcome it. But yeah, unlike his 3 Hendricks teammates, he was struggling a little bit in practice. He was only 30th quickest earlier.
All right, so my apologies to Jeff Burton, who did win the inaugural in Texas. And Terry did, of course, win in '99. Let's go to Dick Berggren as the sun comes back out.
Yes, with Elliott Sadler, who until this weekend, his best time trial run here at Texas had been 17th. You're 3rd so far. You've really picked it up. You want to talk about race cars, or would you rather talk about a benefit for autism?
Well, I do want to say thanks to Robert Yates and those guys at the motor room for giving me such a good horsepower plant this weekend. And, you know, I think we do have a pretty good coffee here, but we did make an announcement today. I'm having a basketball game May the 15th. It's called Hoops for Hope with Elliott Sadler, and it's to raise money for autism, kind of hand in hand with Artie Kempner, who helps y'all with Fox, and getting a bunch of my buddies, race car drivers, to run up and down the basketball court. I think even the DW is going to show up and help us out a little bit, and just looking forward to doing it for a good cause for autism, get some fans involved, get them to have a good time, and to get some exercise. So it's a pretty good announcement this morning. M&M's helping us out a lot, and hopefully be able to raise a lot of money for the Autism Society of America.
Good for you. Hey, Darrell, what position you going to play?
I'm going to be a playing coach, and I'm only going to play half court. You can run up down the court all you want to. I'll always be open.
Give me the ball. Give me the ball. Give me the ball.
Don't ever take the ball out.
Does Mikey play ball?
Yeah, he's capable of playing.
You know, I was watching him earlier today. What's the deal with his sunglasses now? But there was no flames on them. I did notice that.
He's just become real intense. You know, he's really intense. He's focused.
Tony Raines for Base Motorsports competed in 4 NASCAR Busch Series races here, and has had tough luck the last 3 races, 1 wreck and 2 engine failures.
He was decent in practice, 28th quickest in practice, still hunting that first top 15 finish of 2003.
And there, turn him over. Okay.
Well, that's his problem. He doesn't know how to wear them. That's his problem. I have to go over and give him some schooling. He always tells me, everything I tell him, oh, that's old school. No, it doesn't matter what I tell him. That's old school.
My daughter Katie wears them like that. Puts them on with
upside down.
Yeah. Yeah.
How old is she?
She's 2.5.
Yeah, right.
You do the math.
He'd be 40 next month. No, he's this month in April.
Tony Raines will only be 15th quickest out of 15 cars on his first lap, but Mike and Darrell, I noticed he was right against the wall his entire first lap, so he should pick up quite a bit on this second lap.
When you run that warm-up lap, if you will, out near the wall, do you risk getting your tires filled up with stuff?
No,
there's something wrong with his motor.
Yeah,
he's in trouble.
To answer your question, no, because everybody's doing it. You're the only one to do it, maybe, but everybody's doing it. But I think he's got a problem.
I mean, look at the speed right there, 156 miles per hour.
Yeah, he's definitely got an engine failure or engine problem. Here it kind of fluttering out the pipes.
Losing cylinders by the second.
Kind of like John Force.
I mean, I think the smartest move he can make, looks like that's what he's going to do, is just come to pit road, I would hope. Tony, come on, don't tear it up. It's not going anywhere.
I'm not sure what his thinking is there.
He's going to hope that he'll have enough owner points to get on a provisional.
Yep, he is last of the 15 drivers thus far.
I mean, he ran a 59.89. He lost 7 seconds on that lap.
See my hair again? And you're going fast, because I'm walking pretty good.
Is this guy having the best time of everybody in Winston Cup racing? He's always smiling. He's always laughing. Hook's fun at himself. Jamie McMurray is having a great time.
He's like a guy that won the lottery, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Last year, with the luck he had, you know, all of a sudden, it's like he flipped a switch. Chip Ganassi signs him to drive his Winston Cup car this year, and the next thing he does, goes out and runs second. Next thing you know, he wins 2 races. He wins a Winston Cup race. Life is good.
I mean, all that's happened in about a 7 or 8 month time span.
My brother calls him McLucky. I'm going to say my brother, so if he gets, he can take the blame for it. Now, I wonder if he has his sunglasses on under there. That probably got them all hung up in his helmet.
See the cold air duct there on the side of the helmet for Michael Waltrip, Daytona 500 winner. Here's the man who replaced him as the Winston Cup point leader, Matt Kenseth, who was hoping for rain because if qualifying was rained out, he would start on the pole.
Yeah, because unless he picks up a lot, he was 42nd quickest in practice. Not very good at all.
Is that Michael's view?
That's the world according to Michael right there.
Okay. My future's so bright.
I have to wear shades, right? 7 races in this year. Matt Kenseth has 6 top 10 finishes, which is one of the reasons he has a 155-point lead in the Winston Cup points.
When I listen to some, if you just listen to the engines in all these race cars, are the ones that we get to pick up on, the ones that are singing a pretty song, the ones that are hitting a nice clean note all the time, are making good power. Some of these engines they got a war going on inside of them. That's the way I explain it. They're detonating, they're not running clean, and that's the problem with restrictor plate engines, is getting them to run clean.
That first lap's not a stellar one, though, Darrell. Nearly 53 seconds, so he's going to need a huge pickup.
You take a restrictor plate, and it's like taking a small hole and trying to squirt a water hose through it. If you can get it lined up, and all the water will go through the hole, you'll make power. But if you get it off a little bit and it starts hitting the plate itself and it splatters everywhere, you get detonation. And that's what guys fight. That's why they're always checking all these alignments, sizes, is because they don't want anybody to do anything that will create a straight column down through that little hole.
It's looking a little bit better on the second lap. Right now you see the Fox Tracker 9th quickest. And I noticed he was about 187 miles per hour off into turn 3. We have seen that a lot, though, Darrell.
Well, the view from the flag stand's improved as Matt Kenseth comes across 10th quickest.
That's one of the unique things that they do here at Talladega during qualifying, is they'll take people out of the stands and let them go down there and wave the green, white, and checkered for qualifying.
That's got to be quite a thrill. Jeannie?
Well, I am with Jamie McMurray, by the way. We're on the air now. He was giving me some great insight into why you're supposed to go out 8th and it's not 8th anymore. How you said you wore down your tires going through tech?
Yeah, they made so many laps, but actually when they put the plate on, they stripped out something on the fuel log, they said. So had to fix that, and I think we got excused. At least I'm hoping we did. This is a place you definitely want to get both laps.
And what do you expect out here?
We want to run a 51-40. I think we'd be happy with that. We ran a 70 in practice, and usually when they do all the oils and brake pads and everything everybody else says, you can pick up 3 or 4 tenths. So if we could run a 40, I'd be pretty happy with the Haviland Dodge.
You're happy all the time anyway, so it doesn't matter.
How can you not be happy doing what we do?
Very good. Mike?
Good point. A 51-40, Jeannie, right now would put him second.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that, too.
Kenny Wallace coming to the flag for the green.
There you see he has another fan up there, and that's Jimmy Howell. And all kidding aside, Jimmy Howell in the flag stand, yeah, it looks pretty simple right now, waving the green, white, and checker. But can you imagine being on that flag stand Sunday when 43 cars go under you, all within about 2 or 3 seconds of each other?
I know one time I would not like to have been up in that flag stand. I think Harold Kinder was in the flag stand then, and that's in 1987 when Bobby came through the travel right here, and that's what created the restrictor plates that we're running today. Bobby had a engine failure. Actually, the harmonic balancer broke off, went underneath the car, blew out the right rear tire, and up into the fence he went. And from that point on, they started talking about slowing the cars down. And it came right at the flag stand.
Yes.
That was about all that was left standing.
Could be an omen. Big rainbow over turn 2 as Kenny Wallace makes his run.
If you look at, and I don't know why Dodges, but Dodges particularly, and look at the nose on that thing. It's sealed off pretty nice down against the racetrack, and gets really down low. It's right against it in the turns, and that's what you're looking for here.
He was 13th quickest in practice. Right now, his first lap, though, is 17th quickest, but he did run the high line. There you see the rainbow off turn 2.
Oh, it's just, I can't go there.
Kenny will say you're
there over the rainbow.
Let's watch his miles per hour at the end of the backstretch. It's climbing 186.
That's pretty good.
Didn't quite get to 187, though, so I don't know if he's going to be able to. There you see he's 10th quickest. He's gaining some speed through 3 and 4.
That's a good thing.
Yes, it is. When you can gain speed through the corners, because that's where the real speed is scrubbed off, is going through these corners, even though you're not turning the steering wheel that much.
One of the things you look at in the wind tunnel is the car in what we call yaw, with the car turn like it would be going through the corner. And some cars will free up in that position.
Kenny Wallace keeps picking up, gets to 9th position with a 52.06. That is a big, wide, full-color spectrum rainbow.
And that is 0.7 of a second quicker than he ran in practice, Mike.
Must be the rainbow.
What is definitely the rainbow?
Maybe Daryl's singing, possibly. You think?
Oh, maybe.
I love to sing. Not very good, but never has stopped me before.
Want to be a Grand Marshal for a day? Log on to foxsports.com or NASCAR.com. Look for the secret number during the first hour after the green flag waves on Sunday. If you're the winner, you'll spend Saturday night guarding the Fox compound. Start the race, ride in the pace car, and wave the checkered flag at Rockingham in 2004. The Be a Grand Marshal for a Day contest continues Sunday on Fox.
I'm a Grand Marshal tomorrow.
My gosh,
for the Busch Riders.
For the Aaron's 312. I won the contest.
You're a dignitary.
I won the contest.
We have to salute?
Oh, yeah. When I'm down there.
What rank is Grand Marshal? How many stars is that, Larry?
I'm not sure, but I'll tell you one thing that is good right now. Jack Sprague, he's on a pretty good lap here. You see the Fox tracker between 7th and 8th quickest. Remember, the Hendrick cars have been good. This is a Hendrick engine in this race car. So he's going to have a good lap. 8th quickest for Jack Sprague. He was pretty quick in practice earlier. He'd been 21st quickest, so they ought to be awfully proud of that.
Yeah, well, we saw all the Hendrick cars, like we said, 48, 25, and 24, second, third, and fourth in practice. Jack was 21st. Terry was down a little further.
So good run for Sprague, who is presently 8th. Michael Waltrip, he and Dale Earnhardt Jr. are the restrictor plate kings of current day NASCAR. Junior with 4 wins and Michael with 3. Finishing first and second 3 times. That is 1-2 together.
One thing that surprised me, though, Dale Earnhardt Incorporated has never sat on a restrictor plate pole on qualifying day. Found that interesting.
That's one of those things that will make you go,
Yes. The wind, you saw the flag there. This wind, it just keeps changing directions, Darrell, and keeps changing speed, picking up speed.
Yeah, it's now blowing from the middle of 1 and 2 straight across the track to the middle of 3 and 4.
And of course, this is not the race car that Michael Waltrip won the Daytona 500 with. It's sitting in Daytona, USA right now on display. This was their backup car. I talked to his crew chief, Slugger Labby, and he said, Larry, in the wind tunnel, even though they were 7th quickest in practice, this car is just not as good from an aero standpoint. Aero numbers, which means how low the drag is on the race car. An awfully high line on there on that first lap, Darrell.
Yeah, that's just what, that's the norm here. Get that bad boy up there against that wall. It gives everything, adds a little extra time to that lap, gets those fluids a little longer to get warm, and then you drop it to the bottom. He'll probably come off of 4 here and take it down to the bottom, run down that. See how he runs down that hill?
Now this chassis here has been to victory lane in a restrictor plate race. This is a chassis that ran all 4 races last year, so it won the Pepsi 400 last July at Daytona.
Where you get to keep your car.
You get to keep it, and it has the 2003 body on it now. Yeah, they don't take your car when you win there in July.
And see, drivers, they say it's not anything they can do. It's all car. You maybe can't help your car, but you sure can hurt it. I mean, if you don't run a good smooth line, if you're in there juking around on the wheel and bogging that thing down and not running the right line, then you can knock speed out of your car.
See right there on the Fox tracker, he's about 9th quickest at the beginning of the backstretch coming off turn 2.
Well, he's going to struggle, Larry, to be, well, I'm not going to say, but that looks to me like if he gets in the 50s, he'll be getting a lot out of that race car. 51.50.
But I tell you, he's not losing a lot of speed in the corner, and showed up right there. He moved up just a little bit, up to 7th quickest as he comes off turn 4, entering the trioval.
Michael Waltrip looking for the short way around. Up to 7th right now, which would displace Ricky Craven, and gives a little back right at the end of that lap.
Yeah, 51.83, and like I said, I would have been surprised if he'd have gotten much more than that out of it.
Lost 3/10 from practice. Could be the win, though.
And missed that 7th spot right at the end by only 2/100ths of a second.
No rainbow.
Welcome back to Bud Pole qualifying at Talladega. Jeremy Mayfield still quickest. Dodge, Chevy, Ford in the front 3 spots. And on track is Larry Foyt, who finished 8th in the Busch race here 1 year ago. Had his best finish of the season last week at Texas.
Pretty good top 10 though, Mike. You got a Dodge on the pole, a Chevrolet second, a Ford third, and you got Dodge and a couple more Pontiacs. Parity looks pretty good.
I tell you, just watching Larry Foyt here, he was the slowest car in practice, and this team, they can't get caught up. You know, this was a brand new race car they brought here, has not been tested, not been in the wind tunnel. Last week, struggled at Texas. A shifter came off during the race. They're playing catch up, and when you're running this many races in a row, Darrell, it's just hard to ever get caught up when you're kind of a new team starting.
Yeah, I mean, all you're doing is showing up. It's unfortunate. I mean, it's the nature of this beast. Like you said, once you get behind, you just stay behind.
He's going to be 20th quickest out of the 20 cars that's went, so he'll hope he has enough owner points to get in probably on a provisional. It'd be very borderline, Mike.
I think so. Jeannie?
Chasing down Ricky Rudd. I mean, literally, because he's making his way to his car. Ricky, you had a pole here before. You had a fast car in practice.
Yeah,
you have a fast enough car to get the pole today?
I could dream and sit here and tell you we do, but we were 8th fastest in practice, and it's a good racetrack. We finished 3rd here last time, and I just hope we can duplicate what we ran in practice. There were some cars on the racetrack up in front of me, way up there. It helped, but how much, I don't know. We're going to fixing to find out.
All right, you gave me a nice race here down pit road. I'll let you get in your car.
Right, thank you.
If there was a car on the racetrack and he thinks it helped, it helped.
And if you can see it, it normally helps.
Oh, yeah. I mean, these things are so sensitive to other cars on the racetrack.
Jamie McMurray. Chip Ganassi Dodge.
And he was actually supposed to have went out a little bit earlier. We've talked about these cars being on the 5-minute clock, but if you go to NASCAR and you have a problem and you can show them what the problem is, what they'll do sometimes is excuse you, which means when you fix the problem, you come on through the line and you go right up there and qualify, and that's what they've done with the 42 car, the Haviland car, Jamie McMurray.
And most of the time they're a little bit more, they're easier to persuade at a place like this where when you go out is not it makes a big difference. Right. There are times when you'd like to go out late and you sometimes create things or think that there's something wrong, especially if they'll buy it.
Well, you know, when there's 30 people lined up at the big red truck for a hall pass to come in late,
that's right.
Something is up. McMurray started 5th here in his first Talladega appearance, but qualifying was rained out, and car owner points determined that. So this will be his 2nd Winston Cup start here. He was 10th last week at Texas.
He was pretty quick in practice, Mike. He was 12th quickest in practice, and you see right there on the Fox tracker that right now he's going to have to pick up some ground. Jumped up a lot right there, and what that means, that don't mean that's a glitch in our Fox tracker. It just means there's a lot of cars right there in that area, and that's the reason it jumped up in a hurry.
Yeah, based on that first lap, I think we could see him somewhere in the top 10, right along where Michael was, I believe.
We're picking up a little more. Currently 8th.
That's the thing you worry about on that first lap. What if something happens on my second one?
Right.
You know, and I threw away my, some guys they don't like to do that.
Tell you what, he's on a pretty good run here. He's 7th quickest right now by the Fox tracker.
He's going to be 7th or 8th.
There's only 200ths between 7th and 8th, and he is 7th. 2 1,000ths quicker than Ricky Craven. Jamie McMurray trails Mayfield, Harvick, Sadler, the 2 Gordons, and Newman. Welcome back to Bud Pole qualifying for the Aaron's 499. Mike Joy with Darrell Waltrip and Larry McReynolds. Jeannie Zelasco and Dick Berggren on pit road. And Mike Wallace and the Miccosukee Dodge attempting to qualify, and he is on a go or go home game plan because they are 3rd from the bottom among entered cars in owner points.
He's going to be okay. I think he'll definitely make the race. I think he had a whale of a Daytona, Mike did. He finished in the top 10 in every race that he was in down there. The truck race, the Busch race, the Cup race.
But I'd say they're going to be a little disappointed in that qualifying run because he's only 19th quickest, and Mike, that's going to be a little borderline.
Yeah, I thought he would, based on his first lap, I thought he'd pick up a little bit more than that, but he didn't.
Yeah, he lost about 3/10 from where he practiced. This is the same car he ran 9th with at Daytona in the Daytona 500.
I'd be a little concerned.
Ernie Elliott engines under the hood.
Same team finished top 5 in last year's Daytona 500 with Jeff Bodine. Of course, that car was a Ford. Okay, here's this is an infield concessionaire. Not sure what he's selling, but
what is it you say, DW? Just load the wagon. Don't worry about if the mule's broke.
That's what he's telling them.
I don't know what this promotion is, but I don't think Johnny's buying it.
It's the Aaron's girl. It's Aaron's weekend here. Aaron's $312 and the Aaron's $499 on Sunday.
What does that add up to? I don't know. Let's find out from Johnny Benson.
Let's do the math.
Well, Johnny, do you know what this promotion is? Are these your cheerleaders?
I think they're Mikey's. They're Aaron's dream girls. So, I mean, yeah, they're. We hear Mikey talk about it all the time. So they got a couple girls walking around today and just hanging out.
All right, do you need cheerleaders to get this car going, or is it pretty fast on its own?
Well, we're going to find out. We've got 3 laps on it today, or 2. So we had a little problem with it. Today had a little part failure with it, and we had a little time getting it fixed. So we'll see what it runs. I mean, we're pretty happy with it. We got 1 lap in it basically on a track, and we're like 19th quick. So hopefully Valvoline Pontiac will be in pretty good shape when we get to run 2.
I appreciate your time, but by popular demand, I think we're going back to the cheerleaders.
Oh, I figured that. Yeah, I see I wasn't on camera, which is good. That's nothing wrong with that.
And Jeannie, the problem he had in practice, we heard Dick Bergeron talk about it earlier, had a car have a dry shaft come apart. Darrell, he was going down the backstretch on his first run, the second lap, and the dry shaft twisted in 2. And I mean, it looked like a wildcat had been cut loose in that race car.
Oh yeah, I've seen drivers get their arms broken, their right arm broken by a drive shaft coming loose and flying up in the car with them. So that's a very dangerous situation. This car looks good. It's got a great attitude. It's down in the front. And, you know, I was really hyping this team and Ricky at the Daytona. I felt like that he and the Wood brothers were really going to make a good combination. And he did have a great Daytona. And this car looks awfully good here today.
But Darrell, he was 8th quickest in practice, but you heard him say he thought he got help. Yeah. And you look at the Fox Tracker, it's not going to be very good. No. Right now he's short about 20th quickest.
I tell you, that first lap was 53 something. I mean, he'd be lucky to, if he picked up a second, he still would be in trouble.
Yeah, he's not going to be very happy with this run. Ricky will make his 775th career Winston Cup start here on Sunday. That's a lot of starts.
And he is NASCAR's current leading Ironman for consecutive starts, well over 600. We'll do the math, and we'll be back. Ricky Rudd is 20th quickest. Budpole qualifying is brought to you by Budweiser. The best things in life are the things that are true. Budweiser. The Army of 01 is on the speedway. Jerry Nadeau in the MB2 Pontiac. Now they look a lot alike.
I would expect this cat to run pretty good. I mean, he's got Hendrick power. Based on what some of these other Hendrick cars have been running, he should be pretty good.
Yeah, it was 26th quickest in practice, but finally they cashed in on a good run last week at Fort Worth. Finished 4th. That was his first top 10 finish of the year. They've had some good runs. The finishes just didn't reflect it.
One thing about Nadeau, he doesn't leave anything on the table. He drives it to the max all the time.
See, he's got a pretty decent run going here. He's hanging about 12th quickest on the Fox Tracker. Picked up a little time right there off turn 4. Going to have a pretty decent run here.
I don't think it's going to be too bad.
Jerry Nadeau clocks in 11th. just 5/100ths back of Jack Sprague, so that's 3 Pontiacs in the top 11 right now.
That's pretty close to what he ran in practice, and that's the biggest thing you want to do here. You definitely don't want to slow down. You hope to pick up, but you at least want to back up what you practice.
And if you recall, and we talk about Hendrick Power, remember the failures they had here last race. Every Hendrick restrictor plate engine had a valve problem down here, and this time, look how many are in the top 10 here, or top 11. You got Jeff Gordon and Jack Sprague. They do.
What they're doing right here, this is right before you go out and qualify. They put this angle finder right here on the spoiler, and you have to be at least 55 degrees. They'll give you an opportunity to check it. Darrell, what I would do, not afraid to admit it, I would go up there low, let them make you put angle in that spoiler.
Now, look at this picture. Which was the fellow that says, all I've got under my control here is the gas, the clutch, the brake, and the steering wheel? That was last week, of course. Tony Stewart.
And if you notice, they're clamping this device on there. What they're also checking is the thickness of the spoiler. There's been one rule change since Daytona. The thickness of that spoiler has increased to 3/16 of an inch. It was 1/8 of an inch. 3/16, a little harder to bend.
Yeah, and the reason that Tony Stewart is watching with a great deal of interest is if they have to raise that blade up over what he practiced, and then he doesn't run as fast, he doesn't want them looking at him. He says, look, you had the spoiler too low when I ran that lap. When they put the spoiler up where it was supposed to be, that's why I slowed down, not because I did something wrong. So the driver is just trying to protect himself, all he's trying to do.
But like I say, Darrell, after we would practice, when I was at Richard Childress Racing, I'd get to the garage area, I'd go ahead and take some spoiler out. Again, I wanted NASCAR to make me put spoiler on that race car. That way, maybe if they check it 6 spots, maybe I only had to raise it in 3 or 4 of those spots.
Yeah, but won't they let you raise it up, but they won't let you let it down?
Exactly.
That's that.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
They'll let you raise it up to the minimum, but they won't let you let it down to the minimum.
That's why they have those adjusting struts on the back.
Of course, here's Jerry Nadeau's teammate with a Hendrick engine, and considering how many laps he ran, he was only 19th quickest in practice. So we'll see what Johnny's going to do. Right now, he's looking pretty good there.
That's a decent first lap. He should end up somewhere around a 52.8, 9, and that'll put him in the top 10 or 11.
He's going to be right on top of his teammate, Jerry Nadeau, here.
Yeah, the Pontiacs of Sprague and Nadeau, and now of Benson here, all run about the same speed. The best Pontiac so far has been Ricky Cravens in the Tide car.
And of course, that's with Richard Childress Racing engine.
Benson moving up to 10th.
Carried pretty good speed through 3 and 4, and coming off 4, entering the travel area.
And that's what you want to see. You want to see that car really pick up if you can as it exits the turn.
10th for Johnny Benson.
Yep.
51.904. Right now, Jeremy Mayfield is quickest. Can somebody like O Jr. knock him off the Bud pole? Welcome back to Bud Pole qualifying at Talladega. The Winston Cup champion of 2002, Tony Stewart, was scheduled to go out 23rd, but they had some rear end issues with the car and was excused from that position, as was earlier explained. So here's Stewart on his get up to speed lap.
He was 17th quickest in practice. Tony went and did a little relaxing this week since was racing at Fort Worth. Went turkey hunting with Red Farmer down in South Alabama, and actually tonight over to Talladega Short Track, the dirt track across the street, he's going to run a match race against Red Farmer. And Darrell, I think he'll have his hands full with Red Farmer over there.
Red is still tough at 70-odd years old. He's an old hero of mine.
Red Farmer was the patriarch of the Alabama gang, which went on to include Bobby and Donnie and Davey Allison and Clifford Allison, Neil Bonnet, Hut Strickland, Steve Grissom, quite a list of drivers that saw Winston Cup success from the state of Alabama. But Red Farmer started it all.
Yeah, and they all live in Hueytown, Alabama, or in the vicinity.
Jimmy Means.
Jimmy Means?
From Huntsville.
From Huntsville.
He's like a nephew.
Smut Means.
Tony's on a decent run here. He keeps bouncing back and forth between 10th and 11th. Of course, the last 2 races, Fort Worth and Bristol, 2 DNS for Tony Stewart in his 20 car.
And he'll wind up 11th, but that's no shame. That's less than 1/10 of a second out of 7th place. That's how tightly packed things are there.
Yeah, from McMurray down to Ward Burton. Tight group right there.
And that's 7th to 14th. So Jeremy Mayfield remains fastest in Bud Pole qualifying.
Doctor Who.
Welcome back to Talladega, Alabama. About an hour and a half's drive west of Atlanta, about 45 minutes east of Birmingham along I-20, where the Georgia Patrol was running Bud Pole qualifying this morning, and I think they had more than 45 cars lined up.
Had to pass Tech.
Yeah, at less than 70 miles an hour.
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be anxious to see what Casey Mears runs on his first lap here, Daryl. I was watching him. He actually runs a 52.37. What I was looking at is his get up to speed lap was about as good as I've seen anybody at a 60.69. So 52.37, he picks up that good 6 or 7 tenths. He'll be good shape here. Brand new race car.
Yeah, I was up at Martinsville Wednesday, and they were up there testing. And I tell you, he was getting around there well, too. And he told me, he said, DW, yesterday, Tuesday, he said, I'd never seen a race car. I didn't think I'd ever learn how to get around this joint. And in a day of testing up there, he picked up over a second.
I'm going to tell
one of
you,
the fastest.
You see the Fox tracker, he just moved up to 7th quickest there through 3 and 4. He's on a good run here.
Oh, yeah, that 52.3, that's going to put him right there about a 40-something. 50-something.
Next week, we go to Martinsville, the little short track that thinks it's a super speedway. And Casey Mears had never seen it because the Busch Series does not compete there anymore.
And he ends up 7th quickest. That's a good run. Jimmy Elledge in that group, 51.67. Good run.
Got quite a number of fast cars yet to run. Let's meet the driver of one of them. Here's Jeannie.
Speaking of good cars, Jimmy Johnson, you got a couple of poles here, second fastest in practice, so high expectations, I would imagine, today.
Yeah, we got a great race car. In fact, rolling up there, so I got to head that way. But car's been great. They slowed down the 24 a little bit in the room of doom back there, so we'll see how much they took out of Los Monte Carlo. But I think it's going to be close. I think the 8's leaving now. He's got a good shot, and if he doesn't get it, I think we got a good shot at it.
All right, go get in your car.
Well, they were the 2 quickest in practice, the 8 of Dale Jr.
Look, they're waving, saying, come on, the car's going to leave without you.
Well, yeah, but I had to do the interview.
Yeah.
So I think he'll make it.
You can never sacrifice TV time. You got 5 minutes.
Dale Jr. looking for his first Talladega pole. 3 straight wins, tying Buddy Baker for 3 straight wins at Talladega.
I love last weekend. We had the best camera work. Look at this. Jeffy gets up under him, gives him that bump and run, but guess what? He didn't bump him enough. And look at Dale Jr.'s hands. He never wiggled. He never wobbled. He just come to the line and beat him by about a half a car length.
Not even.
But that camera work was, I love that. That nose up under Dale Jr. like that.
It was great. They did more bump than run.
No, it was fun to watch.
Coming to the flag.
And even though everybody was watching, certainly Ryan Newman win the race, I don't think anybody was sitting down as they watched those 2 come off turn 4.
Classic. It was a classic.
Very heads-up call in the truck. You saw Newman take the checkered flag, and you saw the race for second to the flag. Gotta like that.
We got the best peoples, I'm telling you.
Now, Dale Jr.'s get up to speed lap, it was about 4 tenths slower than we watched on Casey Mears just a second ago in the 41 car. So we'll see. Of course, this was the fastest race car in practice.
Now, what could account for that? A taller gear, perhaps?
Didn't just get off pit road maybe as good as Casey did.
You got to hustle. As soon as they tell you to go, you got to drop the hammer on that thing, and you got to hustle it.
I'm going to tell you, that was a pretty decent first lap, 52.29. You see right there through 1 and 2, it jumps up to 9th quickest, slowed down a little bit off of turn 2. I don't know, Darrell. He's got a lot to gain if he wants to get this pole.
I believe he'll gain it. Well, he won't get the pole. He's going to be top 5 or 6.
Let's watch his miles per hour, though, as it gains down the backstretch. 185. Let's see if it gets to that 187, how quick it gets there down the backstretch.
No, he lost going in there.
Did not get to 187.
No, he lost.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be overly excited with this lap right here.
No, this is going to fall right in there with Michael.
Yeah, they're going to be right together at about an 80.
51 in there with him. I'm surprised. He was better than Michael was in practice. I thought he'd get a better lap than that, but not to be.
8th quickest, 51.80. That's 3/100ths quicker than his teammate Michael Waltrip, but I don't think they'll be very happy with that. They only made 2 runs in practice prior to qualifying.
But those cars have shown, the two of them, they can hook up and win from anywhere in the pack.
And the sigh of relief we heard was Jeremy Mayfield and Ray Evernham. That was another bullet they dodged.
I believe I'd be more concerned about the 48 cars for knocking somebody off the pole.
Well,
he's
still
done
to
it here
run.
before.
Excuse me, Darrell. Still to run. Sterling Marlin's yet to go. Joe Nemechek, Bill Elliott, Jimmy Johnson.
One thing I found interesting, Larry, is normally here, you can tack the engine about $7,000 as you leave the pits. That's all the engine builders allow you to do it. I heard some of them talking about turning them up to 7,500 to 7,700 through the gears, and that's a big change in what we were seeing here a year or so ago. So they've done a lot to these engines here as well to get the RPM out of them, like they have everywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, NASCAR even goes so far to when they leave pit road, every car leaves from the same position. That way nobody has an advantage of leaving sooner or later on pit road.
And a lot of these cars now have a shift light. When the light comes on, you shift. So the driver has no excuse for over-revving these engines because they are sensitive. The piston to valve clearance is really tight on these restrictor plate engines. But I was surprised how much they've allowed the engine builders have to turn the engine to the use state.
And just so you know, Bill Sloboda did the math. This will be Ricky Rudd's 686th consecutive start. Out of what, 775?
775. And Jimmy Johnson in the Lowe's 48 car, his get up to speed lap, Darrell, pretty good, 60.83. That's still not as quick as we saw Casey Mears though earlier.
No, that's not a real good. That's okay.
Of course, he was second quickest in practice at a 51.29. That would give him the pole right now over Jeremy Mayfield. Jeremy's at a 51.34, right at 186.5 miles per hour. This is the throwaway lap you see right on the Fox tracker, 24th, 25th quickest. He's not all the way up against the wall. He's about a lane down coming off turn 4.
It's a little smoother right there just off the wall.
And that's not quite enough speed at the end of the backstretch if he's going to match up to Mayfield. Dips to about 183.
Tracker will freeze right there, 52.26. Pretty decent first lap, but I just don't think he's going to pick up no second on this second lap.
Dick Berggren.
With Junior, quickest in practice, not quickest in time trial. Tell us about your lap.
It was pretty good. You know, just went out there and run around on the bottom. Yeah, we didn't quite run as fast or nowhere near as fast as we did in practice, but
now, why was that, Junior?
Well, we found a car on that after that first run was way too low. So once we put it up where it was supposed to be, we run about what we should have run or what everybody else was running. So we made a lot of mistakes today in the garage area, and you know, had to kind of hustle through tech, and you know, didn't get quite the speed out of the car. I mean, it ain't a bad lap, but we ain't never been great qualifiers at speedways anyway. So we're pretty. We could take it or leave it. It'd be nice to start toward the front, but you know, it won't matter 3 laps into the race.
But he's a great finisher. Won here 3 times in a row.
I liked it. It won't matter 3 laps into the race.
But what I liked is the way he hum and hawed around. We made a lot of mistakes in the garage today. That's a message to somebody.
Jimmy Johnson 2/10 quicker than Junior, and that will put him 6th so far.
Give that dog a bone.
Welcome back to Talladega, where Rusty Wallace, who was 23rd on the practice chart, comes out to make his qualifying run. The Miller Lite Dodge.
Was teammate 7th, Ryan Newman, at a 51.64. He should be able to run somewhere in that range, I think.
But you know, Darrell, you know, we don't really know. This place is hard to read. We got a message a while ago that the track temperature had actually lowered a little bit. When Ryan Newman first went out the first qualifier, it was 85 degrees. A few cars ago, it was down to 79 degrees. Not a big change here at Talladega, but we have not seen a car crack the top 5. Jimmy Johnson was close in a long time, so I just believe that this racetrack, whether it's wind, direction, or speed, it's lost a little something since the beginning of qualifying.
Yeah, and the atmosphere, I don't know what the barometer is saying right now, but we did see some rain showers kind of blow by us here. The barometer changes, that really affects these engines are so sensitive to tune-up, fuel mixture, and so forth.
The other thing, Darrell, the wind direction changed. When Mayfield made his run, we had a crosswind going across the track. Now we have a tailwind on the backstretch and a headwind coming through the tri-oval and down toward turn 1.
Well, we should be able to track that on our tracker here. They should pick up speed down the back and lose speed down the front if the wind is affecting them. I know we've been looking at the big number down the back, but we might want to start paying a little bit of attention to the number going into 1.
Rusty's first lap, 52.84, 29th quickest. Not the greatest first lap.
No, I mean, if you figure he's going to pick up 7/10, he's just barely going to crack the 51s, which will be somewhere around 16, 17, 18 maybe.
30 cars, counting Wallace, have run so far. That puts Matt Kenseth 20th as the last man who is safely into the top 36.
What shows me that he's not on a good lap, Mike. You talked about it, a tailwind down the backstretch. He only was 185 miles an hour, and that's with that tailwind, which should pick the miles per hour up. We've seen 187 without the tailwind.
He's actually he's not getting any performance. The car's not performing on his second lap at all.
See, the Fox tracker only about 23rd quickest. That's where he ends up, 23rd quickest at a 52.16. I don't think they'll be very happy with that.
No.
Not when his teammate is 7th.
He's saying it's not funny no more.
And another Dodge, Jeremy Mayfield, right now is quickest. Jeremy Mayfield is quickest so far, and on the track, the winner here of this race, 1995 and 97, and a 2-time Talladega pole winner, Mark Martin. Not all that quick in practice. He was 27th on the practice sheet. His car owner, Jack Roush, had last year near here his 60th birthday celebration marred when he flew an experimental plane into power lines and into a lake, landing upside down in about 8 feet of water. Was rescued, recovered, and says the biggest lesson he's learned, Jack Roush that is that every day is precious and that he's making the most of it.
Yeah, Mark Martin's get up to speed lap was really not that good, 61.24. It's almost like if you're going to crack that top 5 or 6, that get up to speed lap probably needs to be around a 60, 70 right there. There you see on the Fox tracker, 30th quickest out of 31 cars that has went. We'll watch his first lap time as he freezes. 52.55, not a very good first lap. Even if he picks up 7 or 8 tenths, that's only going to pick him. It jumped up quite a bit there through 1 and 2, up to 10th quickest. So we'll watch his miles per hour as it climbs down the backstretch. 183 off turn 2.
That's a good speed off of 2.
Yeah, he's moved up a little bit more to 8th quickest, slid back to 9th quickest.
Losing a little speed down the back.
There's 187, Darrell. You know, we've seen that quite a bit today. Let's see how much he loses down in the middle of 3 and 4. Not a lot lost right there. About 3 miles per hour.
Now, right now, the best Roush-powered car is Kurt Busch in 19th, so Martin will easily eclipse that.
He's got a good coming to the line speed here, 183, 184. And if that headwind is affecting him a little bit.
Good run for Mark, though. 8th quickest, considering on how they practice. They'll be real happy, I think, with that.
I think so, too.
And that puts 2 Fords in the top 10. Elliott Sadler currently 3rd, and Mark Martin 8th.
And Elliott Sadler had by far and away the fastest straightaway speed down the back earlier today at 188 miles an hour.
Yeah, Mike, we only right now have 2 Fords in the top 19.
Yes. Steve Park walking up toward his car to qualify. And right now, the last of the drivers who are safe in the field is Matt Kenseth in 21st.
Do you remember Daytona and who complained the loudest after qualifying about the rules and the parity and so on and so on?
The man who's on the phone right now?
There wasn't a Ford to be seen. Remember, everybody was saying that the Chevrolets and everybody had an advantage over the Fords, but they all ended up racing pretty good.
Yes, they did.
Jeremy Mayfield's Dodge quickest so far. Welcome back to Talladega as Mark Martin checks in after a run that has him 8th fastest so far. Right now, as Sterling Marlin takes to the track in his Dodge, the 4 who are nervous are Jeremy Mayfield trying to hang on to the pole, and Hermie Sadler, Mike Wallace, and Larry Foyt, all of whom have made their runs and are hoping not to have to head home. Among the fast guys yet to go is the man standing with Jeannie.
Joe Nemechek, let's see, you already have the pole for the Busch. You going to get greedy and go for the sweep this weekend?
Oh, I hope so. I don't know if we're going to have enough for the pole. That 30 was pretty tough. You know, if we can hopefully be in the top 10, which I think we can. I think honestly we can. If we can do that, we'll be good.
Have you watched the track start to slow down a little bit while you're standing here?
Well, it was strange. We had a lot of clouds earlier, and then the sun came out. And I don't know if the sun on half of it was worse than having clouds over all of it, but you know, it's cooling down. You never know. Qualifying's one of those things. It's got to thank my crew, you know, UAW and Delphi, and especially Hendrick, the motor shop. Good motors this week. I'm looking forward to the race.
So are we. Dick?
Now, Mark Martin was 27th in practice, but 8th in your time trial. How'd you do that?
Well, it's not over yet, but golly, we picked up a lot. Bob Osborne and Ben Leslie, this Viagra team, you know, they deserve that. They did it last week, too. They took a 35th fastest race car in happy hour and made a 5th place car out of it at Texas. And this week they've, you know, they pulled a rabbit out of the hat. And I was feeling real bad for them before I went out because I felt bad that they worked so hard and all their dedication, and we were going to go out there and take a whipping like that, but they hadn't give up yet, you know, and I guess that shows. So I just want to congratulate, you know, Ben and the whole Viagra team. They made this thing go fast.
That's the way to do it. Congratulations to you.
I'm glad you added that, Dick, because Mark didn't say a word about how he drove it. It was all about how they prepped it.
Yeah. But he's right. They were in trouble at Fort Worth last week when the final practice was over, and to come home in 5th, that was a pretty good day for those guys.
Sterling Marlin jumped up to 10th there, guys.
That's looking like a Dodge kind of day. They have 4 cars in the top 10 right now.
Another bullet dodged.
Do you feel lucky? Tuesday, FX rolls out a new original series. My Fat Greek Wedding's John Corbett stars as Lucky. And the odds just keep getting odder. Tuesday at 10, only on FX. Saw the pilot. It's pretty interesting. I mean, it's a fun show. You know, it's, I mean, how many shows have there been set in Las Vegas? But this one's a little different. It's going to be interesting, as they say. Speaking of which,
Mongo.
From Lucky to Mongo. Yeah. Jimmy Spencer. His number is 7, and he's had 3 top 7 qualifying efforts in 2003.
Jimmy won a race here in 1994 driving for old Junior Johnson, Darrell.
Yeah. Well, Mongo looks pretty good there, Larry. He's got a pretty nice attitude. Got his nose down, his tail up. Old dog looks like a might hunt.
And he has 2 front row starts here.
Struggled in practice a little bit, though. 35th quickest. His get up to speed lap was about a second slower. I just happened to keep going back to Casey Mears. He ran that 60 something. Jimmy ran a 61.63, so he's about a second off just on the get up to speed lap.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
And you see the Fox tracker again. This is just his first lap, the throwaway lap.
Is it broken?
Watch, you know, I mean, we've seen cars once they cross the start-finish line head off into turn 1 jump up quite a bit.
Yeah, a lot of it depends on what gear you got in the car. I mean, there's a big variety of gear ratios, and it all depends on how the engine builder has built the engine. Do you build it for a lot of RPM, or do you build it with a lot of torque?
Not a very good first lap at all, though. 53.02. And you see the Fox tracker did not jump up that much. He's moving up a little bit now, hanging about 26th to 27th. Yeah, the gears they pull here, it's about the highest gears we pull anywhere. A 294, a 300. Maybe they'll race a 307. And remember, the higher the number, the lower the gear. Compared to Martinsville next week, they'll be pulling 633, 650s.
Now, right now, Terry Labonte with the last safe spot in the field. He's 23rd. Which means he would be 36th if everyone ran faster than him among the drivers to go.
Of course, the crew chief of this car, Tommy Baldwin, the 2002 Daytona 500 champion crew chief in a Dodge with Ward Burton.
They're gonna have to give Mongo something else to eat.
Yeah, 52.33. That puts him 28th quickest.
Well, one driver's bad news is somebody else's good news. That is a boost. to Larry Foyt or perhaps Hermie Sadler, who are hoping to get into provisional land instead of heading home.
What happened to those guys?
Long, hard day at the office.
Why aren't y'all working?
Last week at Texas, a spinning Steve Park.
Yikes.
Mike Skinner caught up in that one. Second week in a row, I think, that Skinner had a really good car. Didn't get much chance to show it.
Actually, and that too, when also Sterling bounced off the wall right there, too, I think it was, and that ruined his day.
So Park is on track right now for his qualifying run. Finished 6th here last October. And Jeannie is with the man who holds the track record here.
Absolutely. Bill Elliott, you know, we look at the record you have at this track. Do you think it'll ever be beaten now that we have restrictor plates?
Well, not in present form, no. But if they ever did unrestrict these cars with the technology we have today, we'd be easily running in the 220s, 230s. Because, I mean, there's, you know, you look at the car and the amount of power we have today, and I still have the car that I ran 210 with at Daytona. I look at that car and how primitive that car is. And, you know, even when we went from the bi-split tire to radial tires, from that technology, that was nearly a second gain from the less rolling resistance to the radial tire. So, you know, you take that and all the technology we've learned, you know, we could easily be in the 220s.
You're sitting pretty comfortable right now with the record then, but what about your car here for qualifying today?
Well, I'm optimistic. Jeremy had a good run, but we'll have to see what the weather does, how the conditions go, how good they got it tuned up. Just turn left and hang on.
Thanks for the time.
Now, Jeremy was 10th in practice. Bill was 9th. Jeremy's on the pole. Bill should have reason to be optimistic.
I think he does, because they were both really good in practice, and I think Bill might have something for him.
Good lap for Steve Park.
Of course, he's right there. You know, his teammates right now, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is 11th. Michael Waltrip, 14th. Looked like he's going to be right there with them. You look at the Fox tracker. 187 miles per hour. At the end of the backstretch, we've seen that a lot. Should be a good lap. Moved up a little bit going through 3 and 4 there. Moved up to 10th quickest.
Boy, it'd be quite a boost for Park if he were to out-qualify both his teammates.
Yes, it would, because I know when we think about the Dale Earnhardt Incorporated dominance at Daytona and Talladega, we mentioned Michael Waltrip and Dale Earnhardt Jr. This guy, I mean, we talked about a good finish here last year. He can do it just as well as those guys.
And he does. He out-qualifies Earnhardt Jr. by 1 position and Michael by 4.
Good for him. He was up at Martinsville this past week testing as well, getting ready for next week's short track action.
But I'm going to tell you, Darryl, you talked about this earlier, you know, and I think this is, again, the move that NASCAR made. Robbie Gordon is 5th at a 51.55, and you look, Kenny Wallace is 21st at a 52.06. I don't think we've ever seen qualifying at Talladega that tight.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Bobby Labonte, Michael McSwain talking it out. That's Tim Sullivan, PR rep, showing Bobby his appearance schedule for the rest of the weekend, I think, what that looks like. I can't believe there are still seats available for next Sunday at Martinsville. Ticket office is open. I'll tell you, if
sold out on Saturday.
If you can't see, not quite. But if you can't get a ticket to Bristol, come to Martinsville. I mean, that's the way racing was, the way it should be.
Yeah, and you know, last year they ground the track. Everybody said the track was different, but after the race up there last fall and then what testing and all has been done there, I don't find the track to be all that different.
He won't let you drive his truck, but Michael will let you drive his next weekend.
That's one thing I got over my little brother is he ain't driving my truck.
He'll let you ride in the back of his truck.
Yeah, he will. We know that, don't we?
More of that to follow.
Right. If you don't yet get Speed Channel to watch next Saturday's sure to be thrilling Craftsman Truck Series race, call 188-22-SPEED.
That's 188-22 Waltrip.
How are you going to call the race from the truck?
I don't know, man. I always thought I could do that. You know, you have to just, it'll be easy. I'll make it look easy.
I can't wait.
I don't know how to sound, but it'll look easy.
And I'm going to brag on him a little bit more. He did a little testing for Kyle Petty at Martinsville, and Kyle's Winston Cup car ran pretty good, DW.
Yeah, no, I was really I got out of Andy's car after I blew it up. And Kyle and his guys were up there, and Kyle didn't feel like driving because of his injuries. And they asked me would I run a few laps. And actually, I was very impressed with Kyle's car. It drove great, and I think we help the car a little bit, and just be anxious to see how he does when he goes back.
All right, the Petty cars are up next, both of them. Todd Bodine on track right now in the National Guard Ford. Here's Dick Berggren.
With Steve Park, nice run. Out-qualified both your teammates. You're making some headlines. How do you feel?
Great. I mean, when those guys slowed down to an 80, Dale Jr. and Michael both ran fast in practice, and we ran a 90, so we were hoping we could back it up, but maybe pick it up to a 70 or an 80, and then they were in the 80, so we're like, oh man, we hope we don't lose that much speed. So fortunately, the Pennzoil team did a great job. Got a qualifying lap in. I mean, Talladega's kind of uneventful in qualifying. I mean, you just hold it wide open and keep the car as steady as possible on the bottom. So we'll see what we have on Sunday. I mean, just real glad for this whole team. We worked tremendously hard to try to qualify good and get this car up front, and we're not giving up just yet.
Do you know who's worked harder than anybody else on this team, Mike Joy? This guy, the driver.
I think you're right, Dick.
It's great to see Steve have a good run here on Sunday.
A long road back from a bad crash at Darlington, and Steve Park is doing his best to make the most of it.
He's got a cool dog. Got a yellow lab. His name is Harley, and he had him up at Martinsville. He's a cool dog. He sits there and barks and barks the only one that can stop him from barking.
What's his Harley's name?
That's his name, Harley.
No, what's his Harley's name? Dog? I don't know. Not everybody names their motorcycles.
Mike, I don't get it.
I'll explain it to you during the commercial.
Why you don't get it? Why you got to explain it?
I'm trying to work with you here, but I don't get it.
Todd Bodine 30th. And there is the order at present of the 3 DEI cars. See, the dog's name is Harley, so the Harley's name could be
Rover.
Rover! Welcome back to Talladega, where 25th place Jeff Green is now locked into the field. Rusty Wallace would be next, and then Hermie Sadler, who needs to beat 2 more cars in qualifying or go home. And a lot will hinge on what happens to the man who's on track right now, David Green.
I think David's going to run pretty well. David's been, you know, got in that 37 Busch car. He's having a good year, and he's in this Cup car today. Gary Dehart's his crew chief. That thing's running pretty good.
This is a Hendrick effort. Hendrick car, Hendrick chassis, Hendrick engine. They did miss the show at Daytona in February, and they're going to run all 4 restrictor plate races this year with David Green at the wheel.
Now, is he teammate to Jack Sprague?
Yes, I think they are.
We'll double check.
I think they are.
Yeah, and he was 15th quickest in practice. His get up to speed lap, it was okay, a 61.14. Again, you know, I think to be really good, you need to run at 60.60 or 60.70.
But that's better than a lot of the ones we've seen on the get-go.
Yeah, that's not a bad lap.
We got some laps, the get-go and the throwaway and the...
And what we're talking about on the get up to speed lap, the first lap that don't count, the way the start finish line is situated here at Talladega, it's past the exit of pit road. So that means the clock actually starts when they cross the start finish line. That speed don't mean anything, but at least it gives us an indication how good these guys are getting up to speed as they leave pit road. You see the start finish line, the only racetrack we go to where it's, and that's what makes such great racing at the end at Talladega. It's not in the center of the triangle like at Daytona. It's all the way halfway down headed toward turn 1.
Wow, what a lap David Green's putting down here.
That doesn't surprise me. I thought he would.
And he is not a teammate to Jack Sprague. This is a Hendrick effort.
Okay.
So yeah, Gary, you mentioned Gary Dehart, the crew chief, works for Rick Hendrick.
So he's teammate to Terry Labonte, Jeff Gordon, Joe Nemechek,
Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson.
This is going to be a really good lap for David Green. Sitting there in the Fox tracker, about sixth quickest.
I'm so happy for David because he was out of the sport until Hendrick gave him a shot to drive the Busch car last year.
Look at it, guys. He's gaining more. Moved up to 4th, right about 5th. This is going to be a great lap for David Green.
Come on, Dave.
5th
Right.
quickest. Yeah, good lap.
Good
51.50.
Yeah, he was out of racing. Didn't have a job.
Right. He was a spotter. Spot sometimes for his brother. For Mark. He and Mark would, when Mark would run, David would spot for him. When David would pick up an occasional ride, Mark would spot for him.
Well, when he spotted for Jarrett also, did he spot for somebody who won Pocono?
Dale Jarrett.
Yeah, he was spotting for Dale Jarrett.
That's right. And there is Dale with Bill
now,
Elliott.
buddy, there's 2 good ones right there. Two Winston Cup champions. And 2 nice men, 2 really nice men. If you want to have friends in racing, There's two you want on that list.
And two fellows who've done as much for this sport as the sport has done for them.
Yes, sir. They represent it well. And they always stand around and shake. All of us guys, veteran drivers, we always stand around and shake our head like, how'd they do that?
But you know what's really neat about David Green running that good in a Rick Hendrick car? Well, you've talked about him being out of a job. I think what really made people realize David Green still has it is when he climbed in that Busch car for Rick Hendrick, the 5 car.
Oh yeah.
And I immediately started running great. And it's like, hey, this guy can still get the job done.
Yeah. I always wanted to win 100 races. That was kind of like a goal I had. And Rick Hendrick always reminds me that I should have stayed with him and I would have won 100 races.
Look where he's from. Owensboro, Kentucky.
Must be the water.
Homeboy. It's the mutton.
3 Green brothers, Jeremy Mayfield, 2 Waltrips,
and a host
all from Owensboro.
A host of crew members.
Yeah. Yes.
Donnie Richardson. There's Harley. There he is. All right, buddy. I'll tell you, he's a cool dog.
Did you make a note, though, to find out what his motorcycle's name is?
I don't know anything. I don't know about his motorcycle. I guess it's Rover or...
Oh, this is a beautiful dog.
Yeah, but Bergie.
Yeah.
What's the name of his Harley?
Let me ask him. Steve Park, the dog's name's Harley. What's the motorcycle?
Oh, man. Leaker. I used to call him Leaker. But I mean, I always tell people I have 4 Harleys. I have 3 I can ride and 1 that barks a lot. So, but he's my good luck charm, and we're just happy to be able to bring him to most of the races we go to. It's hard to bring him to the West Coast, but he's a great companion. You want to talk about a faithful companion? You got one right there.
Oh, was he just sticking his nose in the trash, Steve?
No, I don't think so.
I last saw that dog. He was a puppy. He was about a quarter that size. Steve was riding him around. He'd just gotten him. He was just a pup. Jeff Burton for Roush Racing. It's first lap 53.39, and that has a provisional look to it.
Yeah, I mean, they struggled in practice all day long. 44th quickest. I know he had some hope when Mark Martin went out there, and right now sitting 9th, but I just don't think this car's even going to come close to that run of Mark Martin.
No, sir. He's another one of those. Even if he picks up a second, he's still going to be in trouble.
And we knew it, I think, from his get-up-to-speed lap at a 61.62. We've seen get-up-to-speed laps a second quicker than that.
The man who stands to benefit is Hermie Sadler, who needs to beat 2 more cars to get into the field. Sadler cannot earn a provisional for this race. But Jeff Burton trying to improve on 53.39 and will, but doesn't look like by much.
Yeah, you see the Fox tracker, he's sitting there at about 35th, 36th quickest. And that's where he's going to end up, 35th quickest.
All right, that will lock Rusty Wallace into the show with a 52.16. And we'll come back and update the possible provisional situation here at Talladega. 37 of 46 cars have run. Not much change in that leaderboard except David Green, who's now taken over the 5th spot. Otherwise, it's about like it was when you saw it before. Let's take you down through positions. Jerry Nadeau anchoring the top 20, and right now the last driver who is locked in would be Rusty Wallace.
And we're getting down to it.
That's it. So as far as the going home situation, right now Hermie Sadler, Mike Wallace, and Larry Foyt would be the drivers to head home, but a lot hinges on these next 8 cars, and Kyle Petty, his best start here is 3rd.
Wasn't too bad in practice. 11th quick.
And Mayfield was 10th quick in the Dodge. He surprised everybody.
Car looks good too. He's got the front end sucked down against the track.
You know, he was pretty good at speed weeks, and this is the same car they ran in the Daytona 500.
Car has a good attitude.
Dick Berggren with a driver who has cracked the top 5.
Boy, didn't qualify at Daytona. Now you're top 5 here. You guys must have done a lot of work. How much did you do?
These guys worked nonstop since Daytona. Gary D. Hart and a bunch, and
we kind of left there with their tails tucked, and boy's car was fantastic today. And I think it even showed with Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, and hopefully Joe that these guys have come a long way at Hendrick Motorsports. So we're proud to be up here, and it's going to be a fun day on Sunday.
David Green, nice run. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, he mentions Gary Dehart. You know, what's really unique, he takes David Green here. He qualifies. Looks like they're going to be in the top 5 possibly. And I remember back in the, I think, Darrell, it was the 80s, Gary Dehart took Greg Sachs and won the race. I think at, no, he didn't win the race, but sat on the front row at Daytona back in July. There's Gary Dehart.
Gary Dehart, if there was a car chief in 1989, he built my Daytona 500 car. That was the original car that we built at the Tide team. And Gary and actually Eddie Dickerson, Gary did the chassis, Eddie did the body, and that's the car won the Daytona 500 in.
Great fabricator, Gary Dehart.
Yeah, smart man.
Kyle Petty's on a pace that if he gets a 7/10 pull-up, he's going to be in the top 20.
Yeah, 52.58 on that first lap.
Should be able to do that, you know, based on what we've seen.
The only thing I noticed, though, Mike, I don't think he ran that high on that first lap.
Well, so it was 20.
196.
20. Good
Very
number for Kyle Petty.
Yes, it is. 51.96. He picked up about 6/10.
And I don't know what everybody says about this track being easy to drive or not, but when you have a couple of cracked ribs, this can't be a lot of fun.
Oh no, and he has a vertebrae that's messed up too in his lower back. So that bouncing and hopping around that these cars do here has got to be painful.
Mike Skinner, who has been the hard luck driver of the last 2 weeks, had a car that could have won it at Bristol, got taken out, had trouble last week at Texas.
Look, I think he cut a tire down at Texas last week. Hit that wall a ton, I mean.
His career best finish here is a second back in 2000.
Tomorrow it's Winston Cup practice on FX and the Aaron's 312 NASCAR Busch Series race on Fox. Sunday, NASCAR this morning by Smirnoff Ice Triple Black. That's on the net. And the Aaron's 499 with an expanded 1 hour of pre-race. Twice as long as usual. That's on Fox, noon Eastern time.
Maybe Hammond will call some turkeys.
Maybe we're going to have a homecoming with Larry Mack.
We might have that, but all I know is it's been one car at a time today. We go on there Sunday, and they drop that green flag. It's going to be about 43 cars in a pack together for 500 miles.
A wad.
Or 499 miles,
that's right.
I might say.
Jeannie?
Bobby Bonnie doing some homework. What are you checking out here? The speeds, obviously, yes?
Oh, yeah, we're just looking to see what some other guys have run, and that's what we're doing.
Are you going to get this thing in before dark? I mean, you know, you're not really a race car driver if you're not wearing the cool shades, you know, the whole look going on. No. You may have to go out there without the shades. Have you thought about that?
I can't believe I'd take them off. It's getting that dark. But I think we'll be all right. We still got a few cars in front of us, but they've turned on those little lights there, so that ought to help some. And we got headlights on our cars. We'll turn it on.
Yeah, that'll help a lot. Okay, seriously, about the car, what do you expect?
I don't know. We weren't as good as we'd like to be in practice, of course, and the 20 car was better than us, and they ran about the same speed they did in practice. So obviously we like to be able to pick up some, and you know, hopefully we can. You know, if we don't, we're going to be back there with some other guys too. But we weren't as fast, but this is a car I messed up in Daytona, so maybe it just didn't get quite back like it was.
Thanks so much.
Bobby Lamonte among those yet to go here at Talladega. John Andretti, the other Petty car.
He wasn't that good in practice, 41st fastest. So they hopefully they took some notes from Kyle's car. They'll be able to pick up a little bit.
And that was really confusing, Kyle. I talked to him when he was telling me about you practicing his Winston Cup car. He was pretty confused because that's one thing that the Petties have worked hard at. Whether they've been good or bad, they've worked very hard at trying to keep the cars at least equal.
Right now, Rusty Wallace is the last driver. There he is going across in 28th. He's the last driver locked into a top 36 spot.
Well, that car's doing something I don't really like. It has a look to it. It's hiked up on the left front over here as it comes off the corner particularly, and that's just it's getting down on the right rear and hiking up that left front. That's usually not good for speed.
Well, you don't want one side down and one side up for sure.
Now, John will be in the show Sunday. If he picks up, he'll be in on time, and if not, he'll get a provisional, and that would put Hermie Sadler in the field.
Yeah, I mean that's the slowest of anybody right now at 39th quickest. Again, he has one more lap to go, but even if he picked up a second, Darrell, he's not going to be that good. 53.38.
Andretti had hoped to do the double this year.
Hey, he's not talking about here, I promise you. You don't do that here. That must be something that happened in Texas.
That was definitely some hand jive.
Oh, yeah.
John Andretti and Robbie Gordon had both hoped to do the Memorial Day double, the Indy 500 and the Coke 600 at Charlotte. But all of that dependent on sponsorship and time growing short to put together a deal to run the 500.
And I mean, there you see right there, 180 miles per hour. We have seen, you know, at the start finish line, we've seen some 183s, 184. John's going to be 38th quickest out of 39 cars. Just their season of struggling continues. I mean, no top 15 finishes yet even this season.
And that, according to our unofficial tally, will put Hermie Sadler, lock Sadler into the race for Sunday. Jeremy Mayfield continues to pace Bud Pole qualifying at Talladega. Welcome back to Talladega. Bud Pole qualifying. Dodge, Chevy, Ford up front. Is that Hermie Sadler?
Oh, yeah.
Happy guy. He's in the show.
He's thanking Ty Norris. That's who that was from DEI. So I'm in the show. Way to go, guys. He's running. No, actually, he's getting in shape for Sunday. Yeah, now I'm in the race. I got to work out.
Last time we saw him, he was running along with the car to get up to the line to qualify. Brett Bodine will have a big impact on provisional starts because right now it appears that Mike Wallace and Larry Foyt would be headed home along with either Brett Bodine or Tony Raines, depending on whether Bodine can end up in the top 36 here.
Yeah, Brett was 45th quickest in practice. This is the same car they ran at Daytona. They have reworked it a little bit, Darrell, but they missed the show at Daytona.
I think Mike Hillman, his old crew chief's back over there with him, and Mike's usually pretty good on his speedway stuff.
Of course, they use Robert Yates Racing engines.
And his get up to speed or his first lap, the throwaway lap as we call it, is going to be about a second shy of making the show, and that's a lot to ask.
Yeah, he might be able to jump up there he might make it to 34th.
But Darrell, there's still 5 more cars to run.
Yeah, there's 5 more good cars to run, but I think he's going to possibly, he has the potential.
But he was only 183 miles per hour entering turn 3, and that's not a very good backstretch speed.
No.
At all. See on the Fox track right there, it's sitting there at 36, which means he's 36 or slower.
Yeah, he's not going to make that jump.
Of course, Brett now running a limited schedule. His next race is scheduled up at Richmond, Virginia in May, under the lights.
52-57, that is 37th, and Brett Bodine will not start the Aaron's 499 on Sunday. I've got to ask about Dick Berggren's next interview. Dick, did you find Hermie or did he come and find you?
Well, we kind of ran toward each other. It's one of those little things, you know, you see in the field, 2 people running toward each other. We both caught our breath. How much of a relief is this?
It's big. I was running too because I've been holding my breath for the last hour and a half. And what a great weekend. I want to thank everybody involved with this project, Aaron, sales and lease ownership, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, everybody at DEI. This is unbelievable. They call this a dream machine, and I think I've been dreaming all weekend. So great way for us to kick off Autism Awareness Month. My wife and Haley and kids are coming in here tomorrow to enjoy the race on Sunday, and we're looking forward to an exciting day. But it's a tremendous group effort, and I'm part of everybody, and I'm just excited to be a part of it.
This whole grandstand's going to be happy that you're in the race. Congratulations.
Not as happy as I am.
And he's going to sleep well tonight as far as he's been running all day long.
Now, Larry, the 25 came out of off of pit road there, and as he took off, when he went for second gear, I believe, he had a little problem there, and there was a big hesitation that could really affect his get up and go lap.
Yeah, and I mean 62.27. Remember, we've been seeing some get up to speed laps in the 60, 60, yeah. 60, 70. So you're absolutely right, Darrell.
Just right past the start line here when he either went for second or third. I would think second gear. I didn't hear the engine over rev necessarily, but he didn't make a good clean shift.
Let's point out that Brett Bodine's run was slower to the extent that Greg Biffle is now locked into the top 36. Biffle is presently the 30th fastest qualifier. There he goes across the top of your screen. And so he can do no worse than 36. So the going home cars, and again unofficially, will be Brett Bodine, Larry Foyt, and then it's a question of Tony Raines or Mike Wallace. Mike could still get into the field if a couple of cars run slower than he did. He is presently 33rd out of 40.
Well, you know, Nemechek was 3rd fastest in practice, and he's really going to have to turn the wick up if he's going to get anywhere near the top 10 the way he's going.
Yeah, 52.90 on his first lap. There you see him down the backstretch, all the way in that bottom lane pretty much. Now he'll move up the racetrack just a little bit progressively as he gets down the backstretch when he can enter turn 3. But he's trying to run that low line.
You want to give yourself a clean entry into the turn. You don't want to run straight into it. You want to swing out just a tad.
But Darrell, look at the Fox tracker right there through 3 and 4, 30th quickest for a guy that was 3rd quickest in practice, and it may go all the way back to what you picked up on when he left pit road. Possibly could have hurt that engine even.
May have, because it just didn't get off pit road good.
Well, it's 14th row Joe right now, 27th quickest on his second lap of 52.12.
And of course he will start from the pole tomorrow in the Aaron's 312, the Busch race. Moved up the top 10 in points after 5 races. There you see Booty Barker, Dave Blaney, but Joe Nemechek moved up the top 10 in points after 5 races. Now he's had 2 DNFs in a row.
Let's show you Joe Nemechek coming off pit road to start his run.
Of course, when he takes off, it will be in first gear. Having trouble right there getting the window net fastened. You have to try to keep that window net as tight as you can. That keeps air from going inside the car.
Yeah, he's spent an extraordinary amount of time just on that alone.
We'll come back to that in a moment. Bill Elliott, who is the track record holder and had 4 poles last year, 4 top 6 qualifying efforts this year, 2nd at Atlanta, and 55 career poles. All right, here's Nemechek pulling away. Sounded like the car wouldn't take a gear.
Stumbled off the pit road, and that's what it did when he shifted gears too. Is big hesitation.
No hesitation here.
But I tell you, Mike, you talk about the track record holder. We heard Bill when he was talking to Jeannie talk about 210 miles per hour at Daytona. That track record here is over 212 miles per hour before carburetor restrictor plates.
2012.
2012.
Yeah.
And didn't Tim Richmond take a Hendrick car for Road and Track magazine to the Ohio Transportation Center, where they have a 4-mile oval, and run it at 225 miles an hour, and that I think was around 1986. So a car, a similar vintage to Bill's, without having to go through inspection first, could have run 225 then.
It was the Aero Coupe Monte Carlo.
Right.
And Harry Hyde went out there with him because Harry'd been to the Bonneville Salt Flats back in the 70s. And this is going to be a good run here.
I tell you, his get up to speed lap was a 60.76. We've been talking about that. That's a pretty good lap. 31st quickest on his first lap at a 52.27.
That's going to be knocking on the door.
Yes, it will. If he picks that 7/8 tenths, he's going to be right there in the neighborhood of the top 5.
But they went out there and raced a Porsche, Al Holbert's 962. And I'm thinking that the stock car was faster than the Porsche.
It was. The Porsche had so much downforce, it had too much drag.
Right.
He was 4th quickest, entered turn 3, slid back a little bit in the middle of 3 and 4. There you see on the Fox tracker, he's back to 5th quickest. This is going to be a good run. I don't think it's going to beat teammate Jeremy Mayfield. He lost a little bit of ground off turn 4.
Bill's a great driver, don't get me wrong. I'm just looking at his lap, but he kind of swung out wide as he exited turn 4 there. The car might have been a little tight on exit.
5th, though. He comes back to 5th right at the end of his run.
Good run.
And that puts both the Evernham Dodges in the top 5.
And that's the way they practiced.
And Bill was looking pretty racy at Fort Worth last week. Led 43 of the 46 laps. Now we're coming to the house that Bill built.
Two of 46 cars have made their runs here at Talladega. Brett Bodine, Larry Foyt headed home. One other driver will not make the show. We'll see who in a bit. Now, last year when R.J. Reynolds ran the No Bull 5, they put those bright orange numbers on the roof. They're not required this year, but I bet it helps to make that car stand out when you have to spot it from more than a mile away.
I mean, I go all the way back to 1996 when the 88 team was started. Todd Parrott was the crew chief. I was over there, the crew chief for the 28 car, and was team manager for both cars. Even when the way the car was painted then, we could not see the car on the backstretch, you know, at Daytona. And Todd came up with the idea, let's put a fluorescent number, and it pretty much has kept that identity ever since. And it did help spot that race car on the backstretch of these big racetracks. This is a brand new car for the UPS team.
Dale Jarrett with one front row start and one victory here at Talladega. Dick Berggren?
With Bill Elliott, nice run. Both Evernham cars in the top 5. What's Sunday looking like?
Well, that's another day. Get through qualifying first. You know, I was happy for Jeremy. You know, it seems to me like I think sometimes going out later here isn't necessarily a benefit. I think sometimes it hurts. You know, the winds died down. I noticed that down the back straight away that it didn't pick up like it did in practice. But we'll take what we got. I'm proud of what these guys have done. They've worked hard since Daytona. You know, and I just want to have a good Sunday afternoon race here in this good Dodge.
Congratulations on a nice run. Thanks.
Dale Jarrett, who has 8 top 3 finishes here at the world's fastest speedway.
And what Bill's talking about is it cools down and the sun goes down, and there is a lot of humidity in the air down there this afternoon. That air gets heavy, and these cars they don't like that. They don't like that heavy air.
Dale Jarrett picks up to 19th on his second lap of 51.90.
That's right in the neighborhood of where they were in practice. I think he was about 16th quickest in practice. But I just, the wind has, I don't think it's been consistent all day long. I mean, it blow one direction one part of this qualifying session, change direction. The track temperature has cooled down quite a bit, but I think the wind is the biggest thing that keeps changing this racetrack. Track temperature is down 10 degrees from when the qualifying session started.
Again, the conditions have changed. Just think we started at 3 o'clock. We're coming up on 6 o'clock, so we've gone through some huge change as far as the weather is concerned. And you can't anticipate that when you start putting these cars through track.
Bobby Labonte on the speedway.
Probably go down and ask some of the engine builders and some of the crew chiefs. They'd say probably should have pulled a different gear. Maybe should have taken a jet out. Maybe should have, you know, made some different adjustments based on the weather.
When you see position 36 come across, that is Mike Wallace, who is on the bubble. If any of the remaining drivers run quicker than Mike Wallace, he's going home along with Larry Foyt and Brett Bodine.
Well, let's see. He was at 52.36. That's not that. I don't know if Bobby's going to do it or not. It's a 61.6 warm-up lap.
Now, Bobby was 33rd in practice. Mike Skinner was 32nd, and Dave Blaney was 39th. So it's going to be close.
It is. Bobby's going to be nipping at him. He's going to be right there. All these last 3 cars, 18, 4, and 77, they were 33rd, 32nd, and 39th in practice.
And it's down to Mike Wallace or Tony Raines for the last provisional spot.
And pretty much with as many cars that we've had qualify, being the first lap is the slowest, you will not see them probably be quicker than 36th on the first actual time lap. Should pick up on the second lap, though.
Row 2, if nothing changes, Bill Elliott.
Bobby was 33rd quickest in practice. 52.73 on his first lap. Now watch the Fox tracker. It should start jumping up. There you go. Keeps growing. 21st quickest right there, about halfway through 1 and 2.
He'll definitely be in the top 36.
Of course, has 2 poles this year at Las Vegas and last week at Fort Worth, Texas.
His teammate Tony Stewart right now is 20th, so these 2 cars will be pretty close.
Yeah, they're going to be right together.
You know, again, with the way these guys qualify today, I mean, as Jeff Gordon said, qualifying's important, but trust me, you can start this race in about 43rd position on Sunday, and you can be leading this thing in 10 laps the way the draft works.
Or as Dale Jr. said, 3 laps into the race, it won't matter.
You want to be in the front or you want to be in the back. You do not want to be in the middle.
Which is where the eye of the storm is.
That's right where Bobby Labonte is, 23rd, right in the middle of the field, and that will send Mike Wallace home. A couple more left to go. We'll be right back. Pole qualifying, 2 cars to go here at Talladega. The field is set for Sunday. It's just a matter of, it's as far as who's in it, just a matter of where they start. And Mike Skinner, who has 2 restrictor plate poles, both in 1997 at Daytona, driving for the Morgan McClure team, who has 4 victories here, 2 by Ernie Irvan and 2 by Sterling Marlin.
Of course, he's the 5th of 5 Pontiacs, but the 4 Pontiacs that's qualified, Mike and Darrell, they are really right there together, 16th to 24th, which is Ricky Craven, Johnny Benson, Jack Sprague, and Jerry Nadeau.
Yeah, and then as it's gotten a little darker out, saw sparks flying out from under Mike's car. That is not a good thing. Every time that car hits the ground, it's just like hitting the brakes.
And I tell you what's not a good thing is that first lap, 53.69. That's not going to be good at all for Mike.
Skinner will have a provisional if needed. There you see Todd Bodine is on the bubble as far as the 36 positions that are set by time.
See on the Fox tracker right there, it's not even moving off 36, and this is his 2nd lap, which means he's either 36 quickest or slower. You just think back, Darrell, I mean, the 4-car Morgan McClure, they just dominated these racetracks at one time, winning a lot of races here with Ernie Irvan and Sterling Marlin back in the early 90s.
Runt Pittman, the head engine builder, had a lot of tricks up his sleeve, the most noted of which I think was that Siamese exhaust system that he came up with, made the car sound like an Indy car, and made it go fast.
Yeah, Mike's 44th quickest out of 45 cars at Stone, but as you said, he will have a provisional. He will start the race on Sunday.
Final qualifier is not this. Where are we? Help me. All right, that's Maddie, and I don't mean Yoakum. That's Jeremy Mayfield's dog.
You think he knows what possibly is going on here? You think he cares? I don't know if you'd call that
he's got some drag. He's got some drag issues.
But one thing he does
not enough nose pitch.
He's got a low center of gravity, really low.
Yeah, that's the new Dodge nose with no kick out.
No, that looks like the kind of noses I used to race with.
We're going to get letters and phone calls.
But the next qualifier, Dave Blaney, unless he really has found something since practice, you know, it's never over till it's over, but I think Jeremy Mayfield will be pretty safe. Dave Blaney, the 77 car, they were only 39th quickest in practice.
Jeremy says, quit picking on his dog. She's just big boned.
Big bone.
Call it what you want.
No, now look what y'all done.
She heard us.
Look what y'all done now. Poor Maddie.
I believe Maddie could stay away from the dinner table just a little bit.
So could all of us.
You got a lot of room to talk. Now I wouldn't have gone there if I were you.
Nope.
Let's get back and talk about Dave Blaney.
Yeah, please.
77 car.
Nice piece on Booty Barker last week's show.
It was. I love
Yoakum
Booty.
did.
He's my hero.
Yeah.
Talked to Booty during practice there. You see Booty Barker right there on the left. I talked to him and he said, you know, I don't understand it. We struggled at Daytona. We brought a completely different package here, different type of car, different type of body. And he said, we're still struggling. His get up to speed lap way off at a 62.64. First lap 53.75. So I'm going to say they're going to probably be back in provisional land. Of course, this Penske Jasper engines that builds engines for Rusty Wallace and Ryan Newman, still building the Ford engines for Dave Blaney.
Blaney will make his 7th Talladega start on Sunday. Still looking for his first top 10 finish here. First top 15 finish, and looking for his first top 15 start, and it's not going to be this weekend.
I'm looking at, kind of watching the car, seeing if I can see anything. I don't like that. But I don't see anything wrong with the car necessarily.
Front end is up a little bit.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to tell without. It needs some black tape around the bottom of it.
It's definitely up higher than what we've seen on a lot of those Dodges.
Yeah.
Well, the Ford Fords haven't fared that well. There are 2 in the top 10, Sadler and Mark Martin, but the next one is Dale Jarrett in 19th, and you got to go all the way down to 27th to find the next one.
But Dave and the 77 Booty Barker, they're going to be 46 quickest out of 46 cars. Now he's standing up. Matty is happy.
He looks good. He looks a lot better standing up.
You know, I guess I should just go interview Maddie, but Maddie's owner, you have the pole, by the way, but I think I'll go talk to your dog. She's getting more airtime.
That's Big Mama right there. That's what we call her, Big Mama.
And just to clarify, she's big bone. This is not a weight problem.
Right, she has no weight problem. She's just big bone, but she's all right. She's cool. She goes with us everywhere, and man, I don't know if we're on TV or not, but I just want to thank all the Dodge dealers.
You sure are.
and Mountain Dew. That's what she's doing there, thanking everybody too. But man, my hat's off this whole race team. They've done a great job here today and give me a great car, and the engine shop, fab shop. Everybody's worked hard, and you know, Ray's put a lot of effort into Talladega and our Speedway program since Daytona, and it showed here today, and real happy with it.
Third pole here. Does it feel any different? Because Maddie's here, maybe?
I know this is, I didn't know qualifying took this long. It took forever.
Neither did we.
Oh, my God. It about tore us apart. But I know my biggest threat was Bill. You know, I knew he was going to be good. He always seems to out-qualify somewhere, you know, down the road. So we got through that, and I figured, well, now we got a shot at it. So I'm real happy with that.
All right, take Maddie out and celebrate. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Ray Evernham has put 2 of his cars in the top 5. Congratulations, Jeremy Mayfield, Bill Elliott in the top 5. How'd you do that?
Is it over?
Yeah, it's over. Smile.
Well, I mean, you always, first it's got to go to the people that support this program, Dodge and Dodge dealers and our UAW folks. And you know, great job to Kenny Francis, his first year as a crew chief, and the 19 crew. Those guys work hard. Glad that something good has happened for them. Also want to say it's a kind of a special day, and really want to thank the people at Penske Engines and Roger Penske. There's a partnership between Evernham Engines and Penske Engines on a restricted plate program development. So this is certainly a good way to get things started.
Congratulations. Mike?
Dodge, Chevy, Ford in the front 3.
And that's the rest of the story.
There's your front row for Sunday's Aaron's 499 on Fox. Much more from Talladega continuing tomorrow with NASCAR Winston Cup practice on FX and the Aaron's 312 Busch Series race on Fox. Sunday, NASCAR this morning by Smirnoff Ice Triple Black on Fox Sports Net, and then a 1-hour pre-race before the Aaron's 499 right here on Fox. Here's the starting lineup. For the Aaron's 499, Jeremy Mayfield gets his 7th Winston Cup pole, his 3rd Talladega pole, and his first pole since the spring race here in 2000. Dodge has now won 3 of the last 4 poles here at Talladega.
I looked at that top 10, 2 guys I know that's happy to be there. David Green, and I think just listening to the interview of Mark Martin, he's awfully happy to be in the top 10.
I agree. I was also very surprised because Larry and I looked at each other like I didn't know that, what Ray Evernham said about their relationship with Penske. That's a big thing right there.
The DEI cars starting outside the top 10, but like Dale Jr. said, 3 laps won't matter.
Yeah, well, it won't. You know, those cars, Michael and he have both shown the ability to work together and get to the front.
Jeannie?
So Jeff Gordon qualifies 4th, but that doesn't really matter too much for him. The key to Gordon's success this Sunday is look at the top of the starting grid. The last 2 times Jeremy Mayfield has taken the pole here at Talladega, Jeff Gordon has gone on to get the win. Dick?
Well, there's 2 parts of this game, and part 1 just took place, qualifying. The big part of the game is Sunday. That's a matter of playing chess just correctly and having a whole lot of luck as well. Sunday is where the fun really happens. Mike?
I want to know, do they have a template for that Stroker McGurk cap you wear? Well, a bit of a surprise. I mean, Mayfield's been on the pole here before, but who'd have thunk the Dodgers would have been that strong here?
Sounds like good news for Jeff Gordon.
Yes.
Bad news for Jeremy, though, because obviously he sat on the pole and Jeff won. Jeremy'd like to turn that around. He'd like to win.
Can anybody beat the DEI cars? That's the big question now.
Boy, I tell you what, they're going to have to show me because I haven't seen it yet.
I mean, yeah, I mean, anything. This is unpredictable. How many first-time winners have we had here at Talladega? When I look at Jeremy Mayfield and those guys celebrating the pole, I mean, they have not finished better than 21st since finishing 8th at the Daytona 500. They've only qualified in the top 10. All it can take, Darrell, and you know it, is something like sitting on the pole here to turn their season the other direction.
But I really am I'm excited for Ray, because I tell you what, Larry, the way Ryan Newman and Rusty run at Daytona and Talladega, and now he has a relationship with that engine program, I think we could see great things out of Jeremy and Bill on Sunday because of that new alignment he's got.
Yeah, I still don't think we've seen Jeremy's full potential as Winston Cup racer. I think he's a better driver than the results have shown.
I agree, and I think Ray's working hard to give him what he needs.
Can't get much better than today. There's part of our hard-working Fox crew high above the Talladega Superspeedway, where Jeremy Mayfield has gotten past the Room of Doom, the restrictor plates, all of these top stars and their dogs. And Jeremy Mayfield has won the Bud Pole for Sunday's Aaron's 499.